It's a tremendous opportunity, not only to gel, but like we haven't had more than 2-game road trip yet. Like this is a real road trip in the NHL where we go to some not only legendary teams, but places you want to play. Toronto, Philly, New York, New Jersey, so it's exciting because we get to spend some time together. We're going to have meals together, and we're going to roll up our sleeves and go to work together.
That was Jim Montgomery yesterday. It's refreshing to hear somebody talk about travel for the St. Louis Blues without saying, oh, boy, here we go again. Alex, the Blues have a big opportunity to get things back on track. I've said that no fewer than, 19 different times so far this season, but this is one, and you're going up against a team tonight in Toronto that's going through the same issues that you are. They are also addicted to giving up goals in their own net. Their general manager had a press conference today, the likes of which we've been talking about. Hey, when's Army going to come out and say, this is unacceptable? The performance that we've put on the ice this year is not what we expected. Well, that is exactly what the general manager in Toronto said today. Alex, these are two teams that couldn't be more dissimilar in the way that they've been constructed. The Toronto Maple Leafs have gone all in on stars, and they went through their tanking era. They had Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. They've got all these superstar caliber players, William Nylander, all of the things that we've been talking about with the Blues that they lack. Well, they also got their coaches fired. They went through a stretch where it was like, okay, well, it's the coach's fault. No, okay, it's not the coach. Well, it's Mitch Marner's fault. Oh, it's not just Mitch Marner's fault. All right, well, we don't really have anybody else to blame any longer. So now maybe it's the core's fault. And so they both feel like they are in such similar spots where there's nobody left to blame except for the guys that you've built around. And they got to the cores in completely opposite ways, and yet here we are with the same issues. What do you find interesting about tonight's matchup between these two teams, Alex?
That I feel like, and I saw Carlo Koliakova, who will join us tomorrow on his morning show today, said that this game's a must-win for the Toronto Maple Leafs, which I feel like when teams play the Blues, they look at it as kind of what we looked at it with like Columbus in the past, where it's like, oh, this is a bad team. You can't lose this one. I mean, look, Toronto's in such a weird spot right now, and in fairness to Doug Armstrong not having a press conference, he's done it the last 3 years, and it really didn't have much of an impact until last season. But, the Maple Leafs are in such a wild spot because, they move on from Mitch Marner, like you mentioned. They're blaming, I think the fans were blaming, it's this core. We got to move on from the one piece that's in the right age frame of where we're at. But then we're going to keep John Tavares and William Nylander and Austin Matthews, and this is going to be the core that moves forward. They have gone through every which way of looking at their roster and sitting there saying, it's like, where's the problem? The one area that they've never fixed is their goaltending. So how I look at the Maple Leafs is like they've had a blatant weakness for a really long time, and they've never done anything to fix it. It's always been, well, we're going to blame Matthews, and we're going to blame the defense, and then the coach, and then the general manager. Never really got a goaltender. When I look at the Blues, they're the harder one to really figure out because they've got the goaltending. They've got the pieces on defense. We talked about this yesterday. You just don't really have the superstar that makes it go.
I was about to say, couldn't I say I actually do think we know exactly what they're missing?
But those are such hard ways to find those types of players. Like
I would argue that finding the goalie is every bit as hard. The Blues couldn't do it for 50 years.
Yeah, but there's been teams there's been teams that have won with goaltenders that are subpar or average, but it's because they got those superstar players.
And that's what I'm saying. I would actually argue that the Maple Leafs are in the easier position.
I don't know, man, because you wait so long to get those top picks, and sometimes those top picks don't turn out to be the guys that you need to get you to the promised land, right? Like Matthews, I think everybody loves an Austin Matthews, but Mitch Marner was what, a 4th overall pick, 5th overall pick? William Nylander was a 4th or 5th overall pick? I mean, you've got multiple of them. Then you go over to the Colorado Avalanche, who don't have a goaltender also. But they got Nathan McKinnon, and they got Cale Makar, and then you had Rantanen for a while. I mean, yes, you can argue that finding a goaltender is just as hard as finding a superstar, but...
No, I would do the opposite. I would say finding a goaltender is easier than finding the superstar. The superstar talent is nearly impossible because, as you said, even if you do get that top 5 pick, A, there's no guarantee they become a good player, and B, there's certainly no guarantee that they become the player that pulls you out of the abyss of wherever you are, because otherwise you wouldn't be picking in the top 5. Like, how many times have we seen these teams that are just repeatedly at the top of the draft,
Buffalo.
just churning through these top 5 selections, and they can't seem to get it back on track? So I would say the hardest thing in hockey is finding that superstar level talent, because we've seen Colorado win a cup with a guy that nobody saw that coming. The Blues did it. Nobody saw Jordan Bennington coming. These guys come from nowhere sometimes that end up working out in net. And I think that's what Toronto's been hoping for. Now, it hasn't worked for them. And they're once again in this questionable landscape where we don't know who's going to be a long-term answer in net. But they have similar questions, just in different areas, and they don't seem to have any answers.
And that's what makes them so puzzling when you look at them, because, like, you look at their players are performing well. Like, I just looked at this. The leading point scorer for the Blues is Robert Thomas with 12. That would be 7th on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Put that into context. Like, that goes to show you, like, hey, they've got the offensive numbers, right? We've talked about the Blues, and yes, the Blues have been bad defensively. They're not finishing. They're not scoring. They don't have their top players being their top players. Nylander's been great with 26 points. Tavares, 24 points. Nyes with 22 points. Matthews just recently got hurt, but he had been okay
9
in goal
goals
scoring.
in 17 games.
Exactly. So, like,
looking at their numbers, I don't understand how they've been this bad.
Yeah, and it goes back to, yes, it is their goaltending. Their goaltending hasn't played well, but that is easier to find. I mean, you mentioned the Colorado Kemper, who's the one who won that cup. He couldn't see out one of his eyes, they said later on. He had to have surgery.
Yep.
So, like, think of that for a moment. So, yeah, finding the superstars is where it's very difficult, and that is the spot where it feels the Blues are in, is they don't have that star to really drag them into a fight. Now, I can't explain the Maple Leafs because they should have those guys that can do it, but it is a Spider-Man meme, and both of these teams that are doing it in different ways, it's not working for either of them.
Well, their difference, though, is their superstar guys are performing. They've got nothing behind that. And that was the whole thing that they would do when they got rid of Marner, right? They talked about spending that money elsewhere. Well, they went out there and they got Matias Maccelli from, I think he was Utah. He's got 4 goals. Max Domi's got 3 goals, who's a -10. Dakota Joshua's a -7 with 2 goals. They're relying so heavily. Nick Waugh, by the way, the one we talked about, 1 goal and a -4. And then their defense, behind one pairing that's been good for them, their defense hasn't lived up to it. So, like, they're the depth problem. The Blues are the superstar problem. And what both get you is underperforming at the start of the season.
Nick Rodriguez has 11 points in 18 games this year. He's playing 13 minutes a night. Do you know where that would rank on the Blues?
What was it, 11 points? Wouldn't it be like tied for second?
Who was it again?
Second.
Who was it again?
Nick Robertson.
Oh, Nick
Did I say
Robertson?
Rodriguez?
I heard Rodriguez. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard Rodriguez too.
That's
the
why Mizzou linebacker.
Yeah.
I apologize. That's on me.
Yeah, he could probably get 10
Nick
points.
Robertson, Jason Robertson's brother, has 11 points in 18 games so far this year. That would be tied for second on the St. Louis Blues. So far this season on the Maple Leafs, just again, for context, as T-Bone said, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. It would be tied for second on the St. Louis Blues. These are the polar opposites of teams.
The Blues are like the Cardinals, where it was they didn't have the superstar. Now, granted, they haven't been floating around 500 like the Cardinals did. And you know who the Maple Leafs remind me of? Now, it's a little different because they are a little bit more top-heavy than the team I'm going to bring up. The Nationals, where you look at them and you're like, boy, they've got like 3 really good elite players. And then you look at the rest of the roster and go, wait a minute, they're not doing anything for them.
I think they're the Diamondbacks. They can't stop the goals. Just like the Diamondbacks couldn't stop opposing teams from running or from scoring. And you're like, I don't understand. I look at this team. The names seem like it should be so much better than it actually is. And even like Stolarz, he was pretty solid for them last year when given the opportunity.
He's underperformed this year for him.
It's not as though they have a goalie that just sucks, that we all knew coming into the season was going to be terrible. So, I don't know. I can explain away the Blues. I don't get this from the Toronto side of things. It doesn't make any sense. We can talk about how bad they've been in recent years and how they have underperformed. Most of that is due to what they've done in the playoffs. They've been a really good regular season team. Maybe this Mitch Marner guy is actually a little better than we've given him credit for. Maybe he was a pretty important part of what they were trying to accomplish.
That's the part that was wild for me. They wanted to get rid of a guy who was a 100-point player who was right in the age frame, but then decided to keep a John Tavares because they were light at the center position. And guess what they're asking for right now via trade? A freaking center who can play the second line. And
to be fair, Tavares has been good.
Tavares has been fine for them, yeah. But, I mean, to walk away from a Mitch Marner, like, you walk away from 3 guys. I guess the Colorado Avalanche did it as well, but then they brought in another stud who their players got the best out of. The weird part with Toronto, too, is now everybody in Toronto's doing what NHL teams do, and they underperform. They blame the head coach.
Is that happening there now?
Yeah, it's been happening. Trey Living had to basically hold a press conference today and say, like, my faith is in Craig Berube. It's like, yeah, of course it is, because you just fired another coach who went on to have success. Berube's preaching to the team on the ice. You need to work hard for pucks and go out there and actually perform in what we're talking about in practices, and they don't back up what the coach is talking about. So it's the evolving NHL to where, well, I guess I shouldn't say evolving NHL because it's the same damn storyline. Every 3 years when teams underperform and hit that wall, they go out there and they say, well, it's the coach's problem, and then you fire the coach, you get a jump start, and then 2 years later you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Probably.
If not this year, early next year.
If you miss the playoffs and are a bottom 5 team, I don't know how you fire him, but if you can fire him, I think you fire the GM as well, right?
I don't know, man.
some
Just
reason, those
fired
guys
Brendan
don't get
Shanahan.
fired.
Yeah, well, Brendan Shanahan got fired along with Sheldon Keefe, who's having success out in New Jersey right now. So I don't know, man. Hockey is weird. I feel like you know it, and then you don't understand it once you get into a game like this because everything is sitting here telling you that, I mean, it's not just the Maple Leafs, too. Like, go through the Eastern Conference. Washington's out of a playoff spot. Florida's out of a playoff spot.
At least
kind of
theirs is explainable.
Yeah.
There's a ton of injuries taking place, but like Tampa's out of a playoff spot. Washington, who was one of the biggest storylines of the season last year, they're out of a playoff spot right now. Toronto, no surprise, Buffalo's still at the bottom of the standings.
I thought this was their year.
They got their own issues.
Then you look at the West, Edmonton currently is out of the playoff spot. They always have slow starts, so whatever, but they're out of a playoff spot right now. St. Louis out of a playoff spot. Vancouver out of a playoff spot.
Minnesota?
Weird start to the season.
Yeah.
Really weird
the
start
difference,
to the year.
The difference in the Eastern Conference is Toronto's 4 points away from being a playoff team. Florida's 1 point. The Blues are 6 points. Still close, but
We're like the Oilers. We're just a slow starting team, and then we'll figure it out.
well,
Don't you worry.
I guess I could make that argument for 5 other teams right now that should be in the playoffs.
Coming up at the 12 o'clock hour, we're going to be joined by Jeremy Rutherford, Blues insider for The Athletic. Is he up in Toronto today,
Yeah,
Alex?
he's on this road trip.
Looking forward to talking with our guy as he is checking out the Blues in Toronto on this road trip. JR joins us at 12:15. You guys can get involved. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. YouTube chat is off and running. The Graveyard Chat at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. It is 11:13. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Coming up next, college football has got to fix this cycle, but nobody seems to have a plan. We'll give you the latest on Lane Kiffin and what it says about college football's coaching cycle next here on 101 ESPN. With Alex and T-Bone on BK, college football is exploding right now when it comes to the coaching searches. Lane Kiffin.
I thought you were going to say because of all the playoff, it's so exciting.
So many teams are still eligible to get in.
Yeah.
There's all of that.
Football.
One of the teams that is almost certainly heading to the college football playoff might be doing so without its head coach, alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. So Ole Miss, according to multiple reports yesterday, has given Lane Kiffin an ultimatum. If he is going to LSU or Florida, which his family apparently went on a plane on Sunday to check out Gainesville and then went on a plane sent by LSU to check out Baton Rouge yesterday, they have until the Egg Bowl to decide, are you leaving or are you staying? Now, this is not something you see very often. You also don't often see a coach in the mix for the college football playoff like very clearly whining and dining with other teams whose vacancies are very much in play for him. So, Alex, I don't know what college football can do about this, but it seems to me as like in the NFL, you don't have teams up for the playoffs where their coaches are deciding in the middle of the playoff run, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take that other job. No, they finish out their opportunity with that team before deciding where they're going to go next. In college, you don't really have that option because of the transfer portal. Like in the NFL draft is in April, and free agency is after that. So you have the opportunity for like 3 months after the season to prepare for for whoever you're going to add to your roster. In college football, the portal is January 2nd through the 16th. Guys, the national championship game is on the 19th. So I don't think this is going to happen, but in a theoretical scenario, if Ole Miss made it to the national championship game, Lane Kiffin would not be able to start with his new team, be it LSU or Florida, until after his season has concluded and after the portal has concluded. In other words, he skips free agency, which you can't do. It is not feasible for another team to hire Kiffin after the portal has concluded. So how do you fix this? I truly do not know. You either have to move back the transfer portal, move up the college football playoff, which just doesn't seem feasible just from a calendar perspective. So you got to move back the portal, and then you get into situations where, like, technically we're still supposed to be doing this school thing, and there's like semesters, and there's a deadline at certain schools of when you have to be enrolled and registered in classes. And so how does all of that work? It's a mess right now with all of this different stuff, and it's coming to a head right now with Lane Kiffin. Can you imagine if he says, I'm going to LSU, and he doesn't coach in the playoff for a team?
I'll be betting against Ole Miss.
Can you imagine? I mean, that's at least right now in play.
Yep.
That's crazy, Alex.
I mean, I think the only option is to push the portal back. And it's because if we're going to treat college sports like pro sports, you got to give it some type of offseason before you go into it. And I know what you're saying with there's a time frame, there's a timeline where you have to be enrolled in classes, and there's a deadline you got to hit. College football seems to, or the NCAA seems to move everything around for athletics. You're going to have to move the portal back so it allows for that, because you can't move up the playoffs, or you can. They won't, because then you're cutting out some of the money that goes into all of this. But like you just listing off what the NHL does and what the NFL does. Man, we talked this week about how more Fortune 500s need to start finding ways to donate more money to these programs so that they can put that money towards the athletes in the portal. We're as close to treating the portal as free agency as it is free agency.
It's free agency.
So then we need to treat it like pro sports. It's not college sports as much anymore as it's pro sports. And I think that's where you have to give it a little bit of an offseason.
Unless you're these schools, these institutions, and I know people will push back against this and say, BK, that's obviously not how this works. Understood. I get it. Like, technically, they're not employees. The students are not employees. And there's a lot that would have to change in college football in order for that to change. We're nowhere close to that yet. Mm-hmm. And so they do still have to register for classes. I know this sounds so like 2015 when we're talking about
first.
It's not first, but it is part of what they do.
It's not first, it's last.
And you have to be able to register for classes. I don't know if it's possible at some of these institutions to register for classes on February 1st. Because at that point, you will have missed nearly a month of school. I don't think that's possible,
Change
man.
the school semester in college, right?
Yeah, like
February to May.
Long winter break. Whole month of December, whole month of January.
That's the only way I could see this working, unless you get rid of the conference championship games and you start the college football playoff the week of the conference championship games, and then you just keep playing every week.
Yeah.
Like from there until like early January, and then you end the playoff like the second week of, or the first week of January or something. And then your season will conclude, and then maybe like the next day after the national championship game, that is when the portal officially opens. I guess you could do that.
Get like a week and a half.
Because then, you could still do like January 5th through the 16th or something. So it's a shorter, more condensed portal, which will be crazy. But I don't know another scenario that would work here.
I think that's the path that they're going to have to go down, because you're right. I don't, right now, with them not being employees, I don't think you can change the class schedule, right? I don't think you can ask every institution across the country to be changing their class schedule for this. So I think you have to eliminate the conference championship weekend. Honestly, if you want, you can even bump back to, instead of it being called week 0, that becomes week 1, and you play from there, and you can even eliminate the conference championship game, and then you can really give yourself more of a window. But, man, just think about how more crazy this gets as if you expand the college football playoff, too. Now, they may end up getting rid of conference championship weekend to do that. But even then, still, that is the path they're going to have to go towards. Because I don't think this is going to be hey, we just changed these class schedules. Hey, we figured this out, and kids join a month into a semester. It is going to have to be, you have to eliminate conference championship weekend. And you probably, to make things even easier, need to start on week 0. And that just becomes week 1.
The tough part, though, is like they're about to expand the playoff again.
Yeah, I know.
So they're about to add another week to the playoff, most likely.
Yeah, and that's where I think you have to start. Week 0 has to become week 1. Yeah. And then that way,
pushing everything up a week,
then you basically can use that conference championship for one round of the expanded playoff, but you can also push everything up one more week because you're not doing week 0. And let's be honest, who plays on week 0? It's like, what, 6 games,
and
if that.
I know, like, nothing at this point is sacred. That week after conference championship week has traditionally been Army-Navy. Like, that Saturday, there is no other college football. It is just Army versus Navy. I think they're going to have to change that. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to change that to where, like, now we play football that week. And we don't just play football, we play a playoff round of football. But you're also, like, that Sunday is NFL Sunday. So you're going to have to play these on, like, Thursdays and Saturdays. It becomes very messy scheduling wise with the way that you're going to be able to get this stuff done. But that's where college finds itself. There is no clean answer for the questions that exist. There's also a lot of job openings that are coming up, which makes it that much more difficult to figure out how to make this scheduling work. And it sounds like a power conference team might have a vacancy that none of us foresaw coming into the season.
Don't be surprised if that Texas job opens up at the end of the season. You guys were shocked when LSU opened up. Imagine how you're going to feel if that job in Austin pops open. I'm not calling or saying anyone's going to get fired. It may be a mutual parting of ways. You dig? Anyway, you guys have a...
I dig that would be a firing.
That was Desmond Howard, who does not do a lot of reporting and does not do a lot of speculation. So when you see something like that, he posted that on his Twitter account yesterday. I put some stock into it, man. This is coming off of, by the way, don't forget, Diana Rossini a couple of weeks ago had the report that his agent, Steve Sarkisian's agent, was putting out a lot of feelers to the NFL on, hey, what's going to be available this offseason? Where could I potentially fit into the NFL landscape? Oof. It sounds like he is working for his escape hatch. I don't know where he wants to go or what the plan is for Sark, but it seems like there may be some trouble in paradise with Texas once again, which is nothing new for them. It seems like every coach that goes there has some kind of trouble after a couple of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, again, you put this out there, there's got to be more behind it, but man, just Sarkisian where he's at with Texas and then be like, I think I want to make a run for the NFL.
I'm going to go to Florida.
The teams that you're going to go to in the NFL, not going to, I mean, I know it's the NFL, but still.
Maybe he just doesn't want to do the
College football
NIL
thing
stuff
anymore? I mean,
you know?
I don't
some
blame them.
coaches don't want to be a part of it, and some they thrive. Like Drink thrives in this kind of chaos in college football. He also wants to make some changes to it, but he thrives in the chaos that exists right now because he bends it to his will. Maybe Sark is somebody that's like, this is stupid. Like all of this is just too much. I would rather go do something else with a new challenge. Maybe he wants to go coach the Giants or something, right? I have no idea. I don't know if the Giants would be interested in him.
Well, it takes a load off of his plate too, to where you don't have to worry about the portal. You got people that do all of these jobs
You've
for
got a
you.
GM.
The funny thing is, those like now because college football is moving more towards a pro model. If I'm Sark, why not just hire my own GM at Texas to have me help do this?
Especially
Sure, but every year you have to re-recruit your kids. Whereas in the NFL, like I've got dudes that are under contract for 5 years, they can't go anywhere. It's my choice on if they're back or
you
not
just
next
don't
year.
see this as much with guys wanting to go from college to the NFL as much as it felt like they used to do in the past. Now it feels like they stay in the college football game.
Yeah, you just don't see many teams that are hiring from the college ranks. It's failed so many times that very few teams seem open to the idea of hiring a college coach. So I don't know. I don't know what he wants to do, but maybe he just says, I want to go coach at LSU. And he takes the LSU job. Maybe
Penn
both
State?
of them want to get out of this.
Deal with the tough boosters at Texas or deal with the governor at LSU. Boy, that sounds like two awful choices.
Can I give you a tinfoil?
Yeah.
He's
going
from
to Florida.
California.
Okay.
USC is a place that he has some history at.
Wasn't it bad history?
Well, it's off-field stuff.
Yeah. I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
out.
think that they necessarily had any issues with him. I think he's talked about this publicly. Like he had a drinking problem when he was at USC. So he went and got the help that he needed, eventually came back, and he's had a lot of success since then. So, like, maybe Lincoln Riley is taking the job at LSU. Sark goes to USC, and then there becomes an opening at Texas.
Who goes to Penn State?
Maybe Drink takes the job at Texas.
Oh.
If I'm Texas, I would hire him.
I mean, he would be one
I'm
of my
totally
first
serious.
calls.
I think he would be excellent in that job. I think he would do such a good job. He is so good with boosters. He can sell the job. I think Eli Drinkwitz would be a fantastic hire at the University of Texas. I don't want him to go. Obviously, I want him to stay at Mizzou. But if I'm him, and I think there's at least a 10% chance of Texas opening up, maybe that's part of why he's waiting for all of this stuff to settle before he makes any kind of a decision. That is something that I would do if I was him. And it would make sense. Like the USC stuff is something that we've heard kind of bubbling under the surface of Lincoln Riley potentially trying to find his escape route as well. Maybe Kalen DeBoer goes to Texas.
Oh, that'd
Maybe
be
it's
fun. Just leave Alabama.
Everybody's just leaving their cover
Lincoln
teams.
Riley goes to LSU.
Let's just shuffle around the whole SEC.
We see Sark go to USC.
Every year's musical
Kalen
chairs.
DeBoer goes to Texas. Eli Drinkwitz goes to Bama.
And
Boom.
you tried to tell me I should care about a game where Mizzou is
Have
6-3 when there is so much bubbling under the surface to where none of these coaches seem to care about their football team.
College football's like musical chairs. When the offseason hits, everybody gets up, goes to a new team, and when the music stops, that team doesn't get a coach.
So do you guys think that seems realistic?
No, I
I
don't.
lost track of where we were.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Let's do this one more time. You ready?
Oh, this is too many dots.
The dominoes begin with Lincoln Riley going to LSU.
Okay.
Sark leaves Texas for the job at USC, which is, let's be real, the job that he's always wanted.
Okay.
Kalen DeBoer, the Alabama coach, goes from Bama to Texas. And Eli Drinkwitz goes from Mizzou to Bama. Now, who does Mizzou hire? God, I have no idea. Probably Colin Klein, the offense coordinator from Texas A&M.
Wouldn't be a bad hire. Okay, I can
hiccup-
see it happening. The one I don't see is DeBoer
DeBoer,
leaving.
yeah, why would you
Bama.
go to Texas when you're at Bama?
I don't know that it's going particularly well for him.
Well,
in Bama.
people were very
well,
upset
again,
with him
it's
after
like-
the first one, but don't lose the game.
Which poison pill do I want to take? The one that's in Tuscola or the one that's in Austin? I've been to Austin. I'm not that impressed with the
What
city.
did you call it?
The poison pill.
No, you called it Tuscola.
Tusca.
Oh,
Tuscola?
I don't know.
He called it Tuscola.
I don't know. Alabama, it's just Bama, okay? What
Coming up
else
in
is there
15
in
minutes,
Alabama?
We're going to dive into questions and answers, but next, NFL Quick Hitters here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends out at Classic Air Care, who's been around since 1926, making people feel comfortable with their HVAC system. Whether it's a older unit that you've got, or maybe you got a newer one recently, and you just want to find the company that's going to help you maintain that HVAC system's life cycle, that's Classic Air Care. It's a company that I've been having take care of my units since 2016. We moved from our first home. We moved into the next one. It was an older unit. They took care of it for 2 years, and then it finally hit the fritz. It was like 30 years old, and we got it replaced. They still come out and take care of my brand new unit, and it's because of the customer service. It's because of the knowledge that the technicians provide. They've got technicians that have worked there for over 40 years in this business. Check out their reviews. They've got 5-star on Google+, plenty of positive reviews like this one from Tracy. Called after hours and got a quick response from Maggie over at Classic Air Care. When I say quick response and great customer service, was exceptional through the whole process. Once my technician Brian came out, he was knowledgeable, explained to me in detail of what the problem was, and had it fixed within an hour. So use them today. Schedule online. Check out their maintenance agreement. Just do me a favor and tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. That's Classic Air Care and ClassicAirCare.com.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues will be back in action tonight as they visit the Toronto Maple Leafs. Well, pregame coverage tonight starting at 5 o'clock with Alex Ferrario, then puck drop at 6 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. This Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Did you guys enjoy that game that we watched last night?
Absolutely not. It was boring, and it ruined my fantasy season.
Yeah.
Cowboys versus the Raiders, 33-16. Somehow the score feels even closer than the game did.
Somehow the Raiders looked worse than I imagined.
Somehow I thought the Cowboys actually had a chance to put themselves back into the playoff conversation after like week 3.
So the Raiders drafted Ashton Genty in the first round this year, right? That happened?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. Last year they
He was
drafted
supposed to
Brock
be the
Bowers.
next big thing.
He had an 11-yard carry yesterday.
Yeah.
He
pretty
ran
good.
the ball 6 times for 7 yards. Again, he had an 11-yard carry. His other 5 carries went for -4 yards on the day.
That sounds like an offensive line problem.
They probably have to fire Pete Carroll, right? They're 2-8. I know it sounds crazy because it's Pete Carroll and we think of him as an all-time great coach. You guys know how much I love Pete Carroll. But this is unacceptable, man. their offense is horrific. They got beat 40-6 by the Colts, 31-0 by the Chiefs, 33-16 here. They put up a fight against the Broncos, but I mean, this team's maybe the worst in the NFL so far this season.
Yeah, we went into the season and people were saying that the Raiders could be a sneaky team to get into the playoffs and do damage, but I have seen zero life from that team. You just went through the list of why their offense has been. Their defense has been awful, too. Now, they didn't have the personnel on the defensive side with the exception of Max Crosby,
Sure.
but I thought they would at least be a little bit more competitive than being one of the worst defenses in football this season. So, yeah, you have to fire Pete Carroll. You tried the experiment. It didn't work. Now you got to go get somebody competent enough to get the best out of a young Genty and a young Bowers, because you don't typically get those types of highlight reel playmaking offensive weapons and get them cost controlled at the same time.
Yeah, I think you have to fire Pete Carroll, and I pushed back against that not that long ago. Watching them last night, like, they are just unacceptable. I mean, that offensive line is atrocious. He's the guy that also helped them push towards, hey, let's go out and acquire Geno, and I don't think Geno can play anymore. And part of that is the O-line is caving on him quickly. But then I look at the defense not good. Pete Carroll made the decision to hire Chip Kelly away from, who was it?
Ohio State,
Ohio
right?
State, yeah. And I think he's the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. And they're like one of the worst offenses I've seen all year. So, yeah, I typically would say, hey, you got to give a coach a little bit of time to see if he can get his system implemented. It's not like Pete's getting any younger. I think you have to cut ties if you're the Raiders.
Can
already.
we stick on this theme of potentially firing coaches?
Yeah.
Why
Who are you
not?
trying
It's
to get
always
rid of?
Atlanta Falcons are 3-7.
Oh, yeah, he's got to go too.
He's
Michael
gotta go.
Penix Jr. is reportedly going to be out or expected to miss the rest of the season with a knee injury. That means Kirk Cousins is probably going to take back over as the starter for the Atlanta Falcons. They have lost 5 consecutive games. In those games, they have lost to San Francisco on the road with a backup quarterback, the Miami Dolphins, the Patriots, the Colts, and yet last week, the Carolina Panthers. Up next, 2 road tests against the Saints and the Jets. If you lose those 2, you got to go. Raheem Morris, you got to go. You cannot be back in Atlanta next year if you lose these games against those 2 teams in particular.
When was he hired?
2 years ago?
Oh, man.
Wasn't it before
Yeah.
last season? So this would be his second full year as the head coach for them?
Yeah, okay. Ooh, yeah, you got to move on. This was supposed to be the year that everybody was touting the Falcons of now they're going to go off
I
for
fall
it.
for them every year.
Yeah.
The Falcons and the Chargers are the 2 teams I just can't quit.
And the
Throw
Packers.
the Packers into there over
Yeah,
the
I
last
was
You
gonna
would
say the
think he would
Packers.
learn.
Yeah, no, the Packers he sticks with no matter what. But yeah, I'm with you as well. I think the Falcons got a clean house in that one. So maybe I take back what I said a little bit ago. Maybe if I'm Steve Sarkisian, there are a little more ideal jobs to take. If that Falcons one's opened up, if I'm competent in myself as a coach, that's a good spot to be in.
I don't know how long the GM's been there, but if they're firing Morris, they got to fire everybody.
Clean
I
house.
think he's new.
Was he the same hiring cycle? I can't remember. I don't think so. Because remember, he had the chance to hire.
2021.
Okay, so he's newer. He had the chance to hire Belichick, and he went and said this route.
Yep.
To me, you got to clean house because he's not only has he hired this coach here that we're talking about firing, he also passed up on Bill Belichick, which could have been a disaster. I admit that. But also, he drafts a quarterback right after signing a quarterback.
His resume, wins by year. Terry Fontenot, their general manager. 7-7-7-8-3.
Yeah, gone.
Yeah, that's
Out the
going
door.
the opposite direction.
And like all of his stuff has just made no sense at all. Okay, so we're going to go young. We want to draft a quarterback. Okay, well, then why did we sign Kirk
Yeah, the
Cousins?
Kirk Cousins
okay, well,
one
if we're
was
going to
bad.
draft a quarterback, shouldn't we hire an offensive mind? No, we're going to go hire a defensive coordinator. What the bleep are you doing in there at Atlanta? Yeah, get him out of there too. I'm fine with firing the coach, but tell him to drag the GM with him.
Who else should we clean house for this season?
Teams that I think will or could fire
Browns.
their coaches. The Commanders,
Yeah,
Dolphins,
yeah,
Falcons,
yeah. Browns.
Titans already did.
Packers.
Maybe. It sure seems like there's some buzz there. Giants already did. Bengals, depending on the candidate.
Oh, Sark would be fun there.
With the Bengals? Mm-hmm. If Matt LaFleur gets fired, that's the job.
You fire him in Carolina.
No, he's done a fine job, I think. I think that's a roster problem.
Arizona's a roster problem. I still think you should probably fire that coach.
Maybe Cleveland. I don't think Kevin Stefanski's the problem. Again, like Stefanski to Cincinnati, I think would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I don't think he's in any way the problem there. They have a huge quarterback issue and have for years, but
Still think you have to
do
fire
you
him.
think at some point maybe you just change for change's sake?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Did you say Texans?
No, but that's another one
I
that
could see that
I
one.
could listen to it. And
I don't know if they'll do that one because of all the
Raiders would be
injuries.
another. So, I mean, that's almost 10 teams across
It's
the
like college
NFL.
football.
See, maybe Sark is an option. One or
He's
two
got-
of these
hell,
jobs.
maybe Drink might be an option. Does he want to go to the
Somebody's
NFL?
got to get hired, you know?
Good God. No, they'll all be just the retreads. Bill Belichick might leave North Carolina and just go to the NFL.
That's the thing is like I don't even know if there's a retread I'd want to rehire because Belichick's failing spectacularly in North Carolina. I wouldn't want to bring in Mike McCarthy.
No.
Who's the hot coaching candidate right now? Joe Brady?
There really isn't. I think Joe Brady's more of a hot candidate on the college market than he is on the NFL market.
Like I don't know who that top. There is no Mike McDaniel that is like, okay, that guy you should hire. Ben Johnson. It's not out there. I don't see a candidate that I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy you have to hire.
I don't either. Yeah, it's tough to see. I mean, the Lions defensive coordinator, people seem to really like him, but it's his first year as a coordinator. I don't know if that's a really quick
Baker always
ascent.
gets his OC hired, so he'll probably get a job. I don't even know his name, but I just know that's what Baker does.
Yeah, because nobody can believe that Baker is this good. So everybody's like, who's doing this with Baker Mayfield? That guy's got to be good at his
And
job
to be
because
fair,
the quarterback clearly isn't good at this.
I think the two coaches that have been hired recently from that look like they're
Alex
okay.
just tried to fire one
Well,
of them.
I know, but like, and to be fair, I said like they've been good, so like he's 50-50, so I could get if you wanted to or not. Jacksonville's coach, I think, is doing fine.
Yeah.
Liam Cohen looks like he's doing solid in Jacksonville. I mean, I think his quarterback sucks worse than Baker, and yet he's above 500 and kicking the Chiefs out of the playoffs
I'm
right
fine
now.
with it. Josh McDaniels, maybe.
Oh no, that one
guy has made
sailed.
it very clear he's not a
Yeah.
head coach. He's a coordinator.
There's not candidates out there, man. It's tough. It's tough to find them. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Questions and answers coming up next. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. This one comes from the 314. Guys, if Drinkwitz goes somewhere else, do you think Hardy, Alubide, Zollers would end up going with him? Essentially, do you think that Mizzou would have a hard reset for the program with both coaches and players leaving? Yep. That's what you have to expect.
All of those leave?
I don't know. I mean, there's no reporting on this. You can't report on it because we don't know where they're going. But, yeah, that would have to be your expectation, is that all of your good players are going elsewhere. Yeah. Now, if some of them stay, fantastic, but I don't know who the next coach would be. I don't know who they would want to keep. I don't know who they would be able to keep. I don't know what the money situation would look like. I don't know how long these players would just wait for that new coach to be hired. I mean, Zollers, let's say in this theoretical example, Eli Drinkwitz gets the Penn State job. That's always from Pennsylvania. You think he's not going to follow him to Penn State? Of course he would. I would think. That would be my perspective on this.
Beau Pribula went through the first.
You think
go-round.
Ahmad Hardy wouldn't accept an opportunity to go play, I don't know, at Alabama or Georgia? I mean, I would think so. You think Donovan Alubide wouldn't take, I don't know, if Drinkwitz went to Florida? Alubide has played his high school football in Florida. It would make a lot of sense for him to follow him down there. Florida's probably going to be in the market for a quarterback next offseason. You think Drink wouldn't want to bring his quarterback, running back, and wide receiver with him? I would assume he probably does. So I don't know for sure if they will or not. I would go into it with the assumption that would be the case, though. And then if any of them stay, great.
Yeah, decent chunk of the roster would enter the portal. Some would follow Drink. Some would go to other opportunities. So if he took the Penn State job, Alubide may go to Ohio State, the wide receiver factory.
Sure.
But the new coach comes in. He might try and re-recruit, essentially, some of the guys that did enter the portal from Missouri. And then he's probably going to bring most of his roster with him. I mean, look at what Kurt Cignetti did when he went to Indiana. That was basically James Madison 2.0, just in the Big Ten. And they were really good. It's possible that if you hire, like, the North Texas coach or the Tulane coach, like, it's possible you end up with that roster, and it might play well in the SEC. And he might do some recruiting in the portal and be really good. It also could flame out, and it's just a hit or miss in the portal, as we've seen. Bill Belichick tried to build his roster through the portal. Failed spectacularly. It could go either way.
From the 314, guys, with the lack of overwhelming quarterback production this year in college, would you vote for somebody like Jeremiah Love, Jeremiah Smith, or Jacob Rodriguez for the Heisman, or at least have them among the top finalists that end up going to New York? We were talking about this off air yesterday. I think Jeremiah Love has been the most impressive college football player that I've seen this year. Now, is that enough for him to win the Heisman? Probably not. I think, if I had to guess, Fernando Mendoza would be the favorite today to win the Heisman. I would not vote for him to win the Heisman. I don't think he has been a traditional Heisman winner when it comes to what he's done with his production. He's really good, though. So, like, if he wins it, fine. I don't think there is a runaway candidate to win the Heisman this year. So I would vote for Jeremiah Love. I think he's been the best player on a really good team, and he's been the most impressive player overall. I don't think that he's going to get it, though. Alex, what would you do?
It would be the same as yours, Jeremiah Love. I do think Mendoza's going to get it because they're going to be probably the best team, one of the best teams in college football. And the quarterback, although he might not be playing like a Heisman, he's going to have the numbers for it. And that's just what the committee feels like is going to vote on. But, yeah, Jeremiah Love has been the biggest difference maker for Notre Dame and really in college football this year.
At least he does lead the country in touchdown passes. He's 30 touchdown passes so far this year. He's averaging 9.5 yards per attempt. I mean, his numbers are good, but they're not what you have come to expect with a Heisman winning quarterback, Fernando Mendoza.
And that's the thing that's going to hurt Jeremiah Love. He's been really good. Doesn't even lead the country in rushing. Now he is fourth, and honestly right there for third, but he's fourth. And then he's not even number one in rushing touchdowns. So at least Mendoza's got one statistic for him. I think he will ultimately be the one that wins it. I would give him consideration for top five, though.
Somebody on the text line said no love for Ahmad Hardy. If you wanted to vote for Ahmad Hardy to win the Heisman this year, you've got every opportunity to do so. He's been amazing. Now, his lack of production in their three biggest games of the season, I think is going to hurt his case. Some of that is he didn't run the ball a whole lot against Alabama. It wasn't lack of effectiveness. He just didn't get it a lot. But then against Auburn, he ran for 58 yards on 24 carries. And against Vandy, he had fewer than 100 on 20.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to end up hurting his case. But he's been awesome this year. He's going to finish with like 1,500 or more rushing yards. He's been great. He also has too many losses. It's pretty rare that a team with 3+ losses has the Heisman winner, unless it's what we saw last year with Travis Hunter.
Yeah, and I think Daniels was that way too when he won it, right?
Yeah.
And
I think they had 3.
And the reason
his was ridiculous.
Yeah, one, he had the volume stats, and 2, in their biggest games, like when they were on ABC, he showed out and was dominant. Like that Missouri win, I think, was on ABC when he played so well.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. From the 636, can we talk about Nicholas Randall's stat line from last night? Did you guys see this?
No.
So Nicholas Randall is a player on the Mizzou basketball team. He doesn't see the court a whole lot, but last night they were up by 35 points going up against one of these games where nobody needs to watch, if we're being real.
So most of their non-con schedule.
Prairie View A&M was the opponent last night.
Saw the opponent, and I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this.
Nicholas Randall finished the game with 4 minutes played. He had 0 points on 0 shots, 0 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 turnovers, a steal, and 5 personal fouls. Fouled out of the game in 4 minutes.
That's impressive.
It's one of the most remarkable statistical outlier performances I've ever seen.
Me in 8th grade.
What's his position?
Nicholas Randall is a 6'9", 240-pound guard.
Wow, that is really hard to do.
Yep.
Because if you're a center, I could see how you could pick up 5 fouls rather quickly.
So far this
Guard,
year,
it's
he's
hard to
played
do.
16 minutes and has
How many
6 fouls.
Oh, okay. So last night was just a one-off.
5 fouls in 4 minutes that's Guinness
remarkable.
Book of
What were
World
they,
Records.
up 30 and playing like Hack-a-Shack or something, and he had to go be the guy that committed the fouls?
Apparently they
Found a way
didn't
to
have
do
a
it.
lot of ball possession. He was playing a lot of defense.
Apparently.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line.
I'm going to go on a limb and say he doesn't play again.
Doug's Banana Hammock. He probably will. They've got a bunch of these games coming up.
Good luck.
If Eli Drinkwitz were to leave, what do you think are the chances that Mizzou could look at Chase Daniel as a possible head coaching candidate if he's interested? 0.
Oh, yeah, that
Is he coaching?
No.
No.
I was gonna say, isn't he on the
Doing
radio?
media stuff, yeah.
Jeremy Macklin would be more likely than Chase Daniel.
True, yes.
Yeah.
At least Macklin's coaching in high school in the area.
Chase is like on a national radio show.
Guys, the Missouri football program is so far ahead of doing something ridiculous like that.
Whoa.
Well,
Whoa.
Am I wrong?
I mean, you're probably not wrong, but I
don't take
wouldn't.
a shot.
It's college, man. I wouldn't just say you're not going to do it. I would have never thought North Carolina would fire Mac Brown to hire Bill Belichick.
Fair. That was ridiculous. At least he's coaching.
Well, sure.
And that's a Hall of Famer.
Chase Daniel, if he wanted to come back and be, I don't know, an offensive analyst or a quarterback coach, he could absolutely do that. Coming back to be the head coach at the University of Missouri, it would be one of the most ridiculous hires in the history of college football.
If I'm just in his shoes, I wouldn't want that. I'm going to stick to him my talk show and then go deal with the NIL transfer portal.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone. I'm BK. It's 12 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll talk to our guy, Jeremy Rutherford, Blues insider for The Athletic, as he is around the team this week while they are out in Toronto and eventually in New York. Coming up next, how does Sonny Gray fit into this offseason pitching glut? There's a ton of pitchers that could be available, both via free agency and trade. Where does Sonny Gray stack up on that list? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. Tanner walked into the office today and said, I hope he didn't read Jeff Passan's piece earlier today, because what a colossal waste of time.
I did.
True.
I did.
Now, we all read the piece, and to be fair, it's a really good update. If you're somebody that hasn't been locked in on the Major League Baseball offseason to this point, everything you need to know was in there. It's a very lengthy piece on what exactly is available via free agency and trade. So, again, if you're not locked in, great piece to read. We've all been reading everything that could possibly be consumed, so most of it is just kind of a reset of everything that we've read so far. We did take something away from it, though. As you look at the pitching candidates that are potentially available this offseason, Alex, I'm going to read some of these names. You ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Framber Valdez, Dylan Cease, Ranger Suarez, Michael King, Shota Imanaga, Brandon Woodruff, Merrill Kelly, Lucas Giolito, Chris Bassett, Cody Ponce, Zach Littell, Adrian Hauser, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, Brad Keller, who apparently might be a starter for some teams this offseason. Others that could be available include Tarek Skubal, Sonny Gray, Freddie Peralta, Hunter Green, Mackenzie Gore, Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez, Mitch Keller, Kodai Senga, Sandy Alcantara, Edward Cabrera, Brady Singer, and Chris Bubich.
There's a lot of pitchers.
Now, not all of those names are going to eventually be moved, but all of them appear to, at some level, be available right now. So the question that I've got for you, Alex, where does Sonny Gray fit into all of that?
Yeah.
Because if the Cardinals are planning to trade him this offseason, and it sure sounds like, according to this, Gray is one of 3 on-the-block Cardinals who have no trade clauses. He's indicated that he's willing to move, and the expectation among other teams is that he will. That's great in theory. What are you going to be able to get back, though? And if you're getting nothing back in return of consequence, does it really make sense to trade him? So where do you fall on this, Alex?
And also to throw in the other name is this guy from Japan, or is it Korea that's coming over?
Yeah, Japan. They got posted today.
Yeah, so, I mean, you got that one to throw into this wrench at all. I mean, like, just listing off those names.
Is it Ime? Is that what it is?
I don't know. I figured that's why you avoided it.
I'm not even going to attempt it. I just figured I would say it's the picture that was posted today. I would say Sonny Gray's probably right around the back half of the top 10. Probably like 9 or 10 on that list, because if we're going off of realistic, like, I don't think Tarek Skubal is going to get traded.
I agree.
But from the free agents with Framber Valdez and Dylan Cease, I think all of those guys are above Sonny Gray, pretty obviously. Ranger Suarez, Michael King. I think when you were listing off the free agent names, to me, it stopped at Merrill Kelly. I'd have Sonny Gray above Merrill Kelly's name in terms of, would I rather pay the money for Merrill Kelly or trade for Sonny Gray? Because I think Merrill Kelly's a good back half pitcher. Sonny Gray still has that upside to be at least a 2 or a 3 with the swing and miss. So I would say back half of top 10 versus the free agents and the trade market of guys available.
Can I make the case for why he is really high on this list?
Sure.
So there's some requirements here. There's some prerequisites. But I think there's a scenario where the Cardinals could actually make him one of the most appealing pitchers available this offseason. It requires them to eat a boatload of money. I think that's the starting point. Like, if the Cardinals were willing to eat $20 million on his deal, so they only remove $15 million from their books with Sonny Gray. They're paying 20, the other team will pay 15. If I'm another team and you're telling me I can get Sonny Gray on a 1-year deal worth $15 million, or I can get the equivalent to Sonny Gray by going to the free agent market and signing, I don't know, Dylan Cease for $30 million a year for 6 years. Or I can go sign Ranger Suarez for something pretty similar to that. Or Merrill Kelly for 3 years at $25 a year, probably, something like that. I would much rather have, in this scenario, Sonny Gray, especially if I am a smaller market team. Now, I think you can make a pretty strong case, like the Mets, the Dodgers, Blue Jays, maybe, Yankees. If these teams that are top of the market and have all of the money to spend, they probably still go over to the free agency market, or they're looking at the top of the trade market barrel. But if you're the Orioles, you're the Royals, you're the Tigers, you're the Twins, you're the Braves, who apparently don't have a ton of cash to be able to spend this offseason, Marlins maybe, the Padres, if they're not spending a boatload of money this offseason and they've got a bunch of pitchers that they have to replace, I think Sonny is exactly what you're looking for, especially with the potential for a looming lockout in 2027. It's only a 1-year commitment. that you have to Sonny Gray. You can also pick up an option in 2027 if you really wanted to, but it's only 1 year of guarantees. The San Francisco Giants, I think he makes a lot of sense for them as well. So I think he could be a really appealing candidate to trade for the mid to smaller market teams, but it requires the Cardinals to eat a lot of that money in order to get a prospect of significance in return.
Yeah, and I don't question if the Cardinals will eat the money to make it happen. My question is, does a mid-market team want a rental for giving up a prospect, or rather go to the market and sign a 3-year deal for a guy that, yes, has less upside, but it's 3 years of control, and we can get him and it's money and it's not prospect capital, because we know how valuable that is to these mid-tier markets. And that's where it gets kind of complicated, to where you almost, to me, I feel like you almost need a big market team to miss out on a dance. And then they come to the Cardinals. Now, they would probably not need you to eat as much. They probably don't give up as much of a return. But I still think the Cardinals would be okay with that, just because they're looking to create more flexibility.
But you're saying in this scenario, you're waiting for free agents to sign, right?
Yeah, I think you have to wait until the music stops before you get a trade for Sonny Gray.
Then why am I trading Sonny?
Because I think they're looking for flexibility.
For?
I think what they're hoping to do, so I think they try to move Arenado first to create some flexibility, and then they are exploring the pitching market, and I think they would have a deal that they think is done before they move Sonny Gray out, is what I'm kind of saying.
The pitching market has already moved. Are you what kind of pitching market are you talking about moving before, and then what are
I'm talking about that top tier of free agent is moving, and then probably a little bit into that second, that Michael King range. I think you guys see those guys come off the board before Team Circle 2 Sonny Gray.
And then the Cardinals use that flexibility to sign
probably a 1-year deal for a starter, or someone that's in that mid-range market too.
$10 million?
Yeah.
So then why do you need to trade Sonny Gray in order to create that?
Because they seem to think that they need that flexibility.
I think they're saying they need that flexibility for something bigger.
And that's where if that's their case, I don't think they're going to get something
unless
bigger.
Unless they're acquiring something bigger via trade.
Maybe.
But if they are hoping to get something bigger, and that's where this flexibility would create the opportunity for them, I don't think you can wait. So that's where I would go to one of those mid-market teams. I'm taking down some of the money, and I'm hoping to get this done quick. I'm jumping the market with Sonny Gray as opposed to waiting for the market to develop. I think the timeline on this could be really interesting, and it could leave us some breadcrumbs on what they're hoping to do here. Because, T-Bone, that's definitely a scenario. What you're painting, that picture that you're painting, it may very well be the way they're looking at it is, hey, we're using this to add depth. We're going to get a 1-year, $10 million starter, a 1-year, $8 million bullpen arm, and a 1-year, $7 million middle infielder, a utility guy to just backfill with our roster right now. And that's the $25 million that we're getting off of the books with Sonny Gray. That could totally be the way that they want to play in this. If they're trying to do something more, though, they need to do this pretty quickly. Because then you're going to want to get involved in these markets for some of these top starters. And so you can't just wait for the biggest markets to miss out on them, because then you're also missing out on the top pitchers that are available. And in that scenario, I would just wait and either trade him at next year's deadline or just use him next year and see what it looks like with Sonny Gray as a part of your rotation. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world.
I don't either, but they seem like they want to get out from under his deal. I think they are ready to just cut ties with Sonny Gray. I don't know that middle tier market that you're talking about, like the Guardians, the Royals, I think those teams are going to be trying to make that not a big splash, but I think they would rather get Merrill Kelly on a 2-year deal than trade for Sonny Gray and give up capital. That's where I think this gets very complicated for the Cardinals, because I agree with what you're saying. If you're the Cardinals, ideally you would like to try and jumpstart this market, but typically this trade market takes a long time to develop and waits until we are post-Thanksgiving. We are post-winter meetings before you start to see that stuff try and develop. And if that's the case, it is possible that if they get out from Sonny Gray's deal, there's nobody in that top-tier market or even in that second-tier market that's worth spending that money on. But I don't think that they have any plans of coming back with him. I know they've said that. I think they are trying to get out from Sonny Gray's contract. I think they want to trade him.
I think part of it with Sonny Gray and this tinfoil is I think they're hoping that they acquire a major league caliber starting pitcher in a trade so that guy comes back. There's your cost-controlled pitcher that fills the void of Gray. You trade Sonny Gray, eat some of the contract, and you bring back a prospect to fill the pipeline.
Yeah, I think he's got more value than what you're... I think we disagree on the value of Sonny Gray, T-Bone. I think Sonny Gray to a lot of teams across Major League Baseball right now, I think I would rather have him than some of these starters that you can go sign. I know it's only money in that scenario. I'd rather give up the prospects to be able to get somebody on a one-year deal, because there's no such thing as a bad one-year deal in Major League Baseball, especially if a 1 year, $15 million. Sonny Gray at that money is a really, really big-time value. At $35 million, he's no value to anybody. That is probably a little more than what you'd want to pay for Sonny Gray. At 15, it's a really strong value for any team in Major League Baseball. So I think there's going to be a lot of teams that look at that and say, yeah, it's worth it for us to give up this high upside pitcher down in high A ball. And I think that's what they're going to be targeting here, is let's get somebody that's got some upside for our farm system and keep replenishing this thing and keep adding arms to the system. And if we've got 10 of them, we hope one of it works out. Because that's what they used to do. They used to have like 15 different arms that were super interesting that would come through their pipeline. And then if 2 of them worked, great. We got 2 major league starters. Maybe one of them ended up in the bullpen for us. And now we can build around that in future seasons. And we've got the start of what is a consistent churn of pitching coming through our system. Right now, they've got a few guys that are at least interesting in AA and AAA. The further you get away from the majors, the less interesting it seems to become for the Cardinals minor league system right now. So I think maybe that's what they're going to be attacking in this scenario. They are in quite a glut, though, when it comes to the pitching market that exists out there. So I'm fascinated to see how they decide to go about this. And if they try to jump the market with Sonny Gray, or if they wait it out, as T-Bone's suggesting here, and decide to see kind of what's available for them. Today is a deadline for the 40-man. It's also the qualifying offer deadline, but who cares? It doesn't matter for the Cardinals. They don't have anybody that got the qualifying offer.
Oh.
No talent.
The 40-man moves, we have spent so much time talking about this in recent seasons for the Cardinals. They have some big-time decisions to make here. My guess is that Leo Bernal, catcher, will be added to the 40-man. I think Blaze Jordan, first baseman, who they added at the trade deadline from the Boston Red Sox, I think he will be added to the 40-man roster. I think you will probably see Joshua Baez added to the 40-man roster. He's Rule 5 eligible this offseason. And then beyond that, I think it's just a couple more pitchers. I think you'll probably end up seeing Bryson Mott's added to the 40-man, a 2022 second-round pick who they really liked in Double-A last year. And then I know he's on the injured list, but I think Cooper Jerpy's going to be protected as well. So those are the 5 that I would guess you'll probably see added to the Cardinals 40-man roster tonight. T-Bone, did you see anything differently than that?
No, I think that's probably the big 5 that they're going to protect. Max Rajek, I think, is another guy that's possibly someone that they could explore, but I don't think they will. I think it's probably going to be those 5. And for Jerpy, like, the moment you get to the season, you can place him on the 60-day, and then you go into the season with potentially 39 40-man spots. You can carry Bernal, and then you just non-tender Pozo a deal. Like, when they make these moves today, like, I wouldn't be shocked if we see some trades or some guys get DFA'd later today so they can come up with 5 spots that we just mentioned, because they've only got, I think it's 3 available right now. So they're going to have to make some moves to make something happen.
We can do those today if you want to.
Exactly.
It ain't hard.
And when they non-tender guys on, I think it's Friday is the deadline for that. Don't overreact when you see the 40-man roster is filled today. They are going to open up some spots still, potentially. And
I wonder if today they just take John King off the 40-man.
I
don't think he's going to be non-tender. I don't think he's going to be tendered.
I wasn't going to say names, but yeah, I was thinking of John King. I was thinking of Pozo.
DK's ready to name
those
names.
were the 2. Yeah, I know. He's like over there ready to chop this thing down.
You could purge through this thing pretty quickly.
Matt Koperniak, I think, will be at. I don't think he'll be on the 40-man next year.
No, I don't.
You said Pozo, right? Pozo's not going to be on that.
Pozo's gone. Ciani's gone. Yeah, I mean, they've got plenty of guys that can cut off. Whoa.
Ciani's already gone, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they did make that move earlier. That's right.
So, Fermin's still on it? Man, that guy is just... He has found a living off of being forgettable on a major league roster.
It's like a leech attached to the Cardinals organization.
Though. Like, if you're him, you're like, yeah, I'm still here, but I'm still getting that paycheck.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to make 3 or 4 moves if they really wanted to today. And I think they will.
Bill DeWitt, we're paying Fermin still?
Who's this Jose?
I thought we cut this guy 3 years ago.
Coming up next, Jeremy Rutherford here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We've got some updates on the Missouri Tigers. We'll get those to you coming up here in about 10 minutes or so, especially on their quarterback situation. But right now, we're going out to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by our friend, the Blues insider for The Athletic. He's Jeremy Rutherford, joining us here on the show live from Toronto, where the Blues are taking on the Maple Leafs later on this evening. JR, it's a Spider-Man meme later today with these two teams taking on one another. How you doing today, man?
Doing real good. Tell Tanner to keep me on so I can hear about that Mizzou quarterback situation when I'm done here.
Will do. Let's start with the Blues side of things, JR. You had a really interesting column from over the weekend on where this team finds itself, and you basically came to the conclusion, listen, we keep looking for signs, but it's just not a very good hockey club right now. Maybe that changes eventually, but so far we just haven't seen enough to believe in them. What do we do with that, though? Like, I agree. They haven't been a good team this year, and really over the last, 15 months, they haven't been a good team outside of a 30-game stretch. What does that mean in the bigger picture?
Yeah, it's a good question, and that's one thing we have to kind of digest the situation and then look for solutions. Obviously, that's what the Blues are doing. Behind the scenes, as far as the story, I didn't think it was some sort of finger-pointing, scathing article. I felt, to be honest, like it was kind of stating what we've all been watching for the past couple months. And, each week we talk about the Blues deficiencies and, the slow starts and the sluggish second period, so on and so forth. But I think you have to get to a point, which is what I tried to do, and spell out that this is a team that just might not be very good. And I think that then, how do you move forward? What do you do? I don't think you can move forward this soon. And we know the reasons. We know that teams around the league, they're still trying to figure out who they are and who they might move and who they might want. And so I think Doug Armstrong and the Blues management, they're just going to have to wait some time before those options are available to them, whether that's trading, Captain Braden Chen. I'm here in Toronto, the mecca of the rumors, and there's a lot of interest about, is Braden Chen going to be on the move? They're looking for help here in Toronto. I know his name kind of floated up here in Toronto last year. So, not just Braden Chen. The Blues have some players who might be available, but then you look to what we've talked about in the past couple of weeks is you're really selling low and with these guys. So I just think that you're going to have to get to a point where you're wondering, okay, we know that they're a bad team, but what does that mean and what's next? And I think those are the questions that they're answering behind the scenes right now.
Well, JR, I don't know about you, but I saw your tweet earlier. You were in the locker room. Seems like the vibes are a little bit higher for the team right now. And do you buy into the vibes being better right now from practices and morning skates and in the locker room?
Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't think you can until you see it on the ice. And you're always careful, somebody who's at the practices and here in Toronto, to tweet that, hey, the vibes look pretty good. Yesterday they had a kind of a player huddle at center ice after the practice, and you don't know what was talked about, but obviously they're trying to pull together. We did an interview with Justin Falk yesterday at his locker out at Centene, and the entire locker room just starts chanting his name. Obviously, proud of him for 1,000 games in the league. Practice today, they're all beating their sticks for Justin Falk. They're beating their sticks on the ice, and I think it's a situation where the past couple days, all I can say is that it's been noticeable. You can tell, like Braden Chen told me after practice today, that when adversity hits, you have to be together. You have to talk. You have to communicate. I think that's been the message with Jim Montgomery. And when I asked him about it, he said that, it's been noticeable the past couple of days. So obviously the skepticism, where's that been a month ago? How does that translate on the ice? Like, there's so many questions that come from it. I'm just trying to give you some scenery from what I've seen the past couple of days.
I think that's great that they've had some kumbaya moments over the last couple of days. I really think that's wonderful. I would also say, call me a skeptic, one of those people that you were just talking about, where, hey, man, we've played almost 20 games so far this season. I've seen them have some moments. Like Jim Montgomery, he's coming out with some new music at practice. And you've got, last week, Jake Neighbors is in the penalty box as a DJ for them. And how did they respond to that? Well, they gave up multiple 2-goal leads against Philadelphia. And then the next night, they were completely lifeless and on autopilot against the Vegas Golden Knights. So I just don't know how much any of this stuff matters.
Yeah, and that's why I say I don't think it means anything, to be honest, unless you can come out and prove it on the ice, and not just a win against Toronto, but put together a stretch of hockey that you can be proud of. And, that's the toughest thing about writing an article, guys, that says this is not a good team, let's just face it, because this is by and large 80, 85, 90% the same team that we saw last year play some really good hockey. And, how could it fall apart? Why did it fall apart? Why did a team that was good defensively last year and had good goaltending, how can it be last in the league? There's got to be other reasons other than, they're not getting along, they're not practicing well, they're not executing on the ice. There's got to be more to it. And so, BK, I'm with you. You can talk about all the good vibes that you want, but you have to at some point see the team that we saw on the ice the second half of last year.
So, JR, we're going to get into these numbers a little bit later on, but I do want to pass them by you as well, because I may have at least partially an answer for that. We're talking to Jeremy Rutherford, the Blues insider for The Athletic. He joins us each Tuesday here on BK and Ferrario. So I looked into this because it feels as though this season they are reverting back to the team that they were prior to Four Nations last year. And I looked into some of the numbers. Last year, prior to Four Nations, they were averaging 2.7 goals per game. This year, they're at 2.8. Last year, prior to the Four Nations face-off, they were allowing 3 goals per game. This year, they're at 3.8. All right, that's not good. But then you look at what they were post-Four Nations. Last year, after the Four Nations face-off regular season games, there were 26 of them. They averaged 3.8 goals per game, a full game better than what they have been either pre-Four Nations last year or so far in 2025. And then goals allowed per game, they were at 2.3 after the Four Nations face-off. Again, they were at 3 prior to the Four Nations last year, 3.8 this season. JR, did we just fall for a really good 25-game stretch?
I look at it a couple different ways. I do think that they came back from the Four Nations. We talked about this before, and they hit the reset button. They were healthy. Buchnevich, Thomas, those guys were healthy. But the biggest thing to me at that point was they looked at the standings and they said, here's what we need to do to be able to get in the playoffs. And they exceeded it. They went well beyond it. So with a team with its back against the wall, can you perform like that and outperform even kind of your own standard? Yeah, I think you can. And I think the Blues kind of did that. My only confusion is I don't think you can fall off this far. Like if you come back and okay, you're not quite the team that put up those numbers that you just mentioned after the Four Nations. Okay, that's fine, but not 3.8 goals against, not, the losses that we've seen. In addition to all the numbers that you put up, what about the fact that, Jim Montgomery was having a full training camp? Some of the things that we really highlighted in training camp, the fact that you had Holloway and Broberg comfortable, they're moving into their first full season with the team. I think there were so many positives. You got a Jordan Binnington and a Robert Thomas who are playing to try to make the Olympic roster, Colton Parayko. So, I just felt like with the momentum that they gained last year, you might not see that team post Four Nations that won 12 in a row, but you were going to see a team that was going to compete for a playoff spot. And we haven't seen that yet.
Jared, just going back to the Shen comment of, sometimes when you go through adversity, everybody kind of pushes through it together. Isn't that a bad DNA to make up your team? I mean, I complained about this for the Cardinals for the longest time to sit there and act as if, well, we could be bad in the first half because we can go on a run in the second half. And now it feels like the team's okay. I don't want to say okay. It seems like the team isn't frustrated with where they're at because they know that at some point they're going to turn it around. It feels like a bad DNA makeup for a core group of players you're trying to build something with.
Yeah, I think so. And the way I would look at it is this. Over the years, being around some of these Blues teams, talking to some of the famous coaches, including the Ken Hitchcocks, when you have a team that can put it together and maybe even outplay its talent level, is when things go wrong, you don't have players saying, well, it isn't me. I've been around and covered a lot of Blues teams where they know the team's bad, but they're like, okay, well, it's not me. I'm doing my part. And what you need is 23 guys saying, well, it could be me, or it is me, or I could do more, or I could do what some of these coaches, what the coaching staff is saying. And I think when you get that, that's when you start to play that way. So I guess the big question is, why would it take it to get to this point, to get to that adversity? before you'd have the players respond as such and say, okay, let's all figure this out together. So apparently, listening to them, that's what they're doing now. But I think that just shows that you kind of took it for granted early on in the season and just felt like it was going to come, and you weren't adopting that mentality that, hey, listen, if things aren't going wrong, that's on me just as much as it is the next guy.
Blues back in action this evening in Toronto. It's a 6 o'clock puck drop. Alex will have your pregame coverage tonight starting at 5 right here on 101 ESPN. JR, appreciate the time as always, man. Enjoy the game tonight out there in the mecca of the NHL world. Stay on the line. We'll give you the latest update on Beau Pribula coming up next, my man.
I'll be waiting. Thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate you. That's JR joining us as he does each and every Tuesday here on BK and Ferrario. Blues back in action this evening. Morning skate lines, Alex, as JR released earlier today. Holloway with Thomas and Snuggerud. Shin with Dvorsky and Kyrou, your third line. Booch with Suter, your defensive pairings. Broberg with Parayko. Fowler with Falk. Tucker with Kessel. Bennington expected to be in the starter's net.
For the people that have been saying healthy scratch Pavel Buchnevich, this is the equivalent of healthy scratching Pavel Buchnevich. Playing him on the third line. He's my guess, and I don't know if JR put the power play units out there. My guess is he's not going to be on that first power play unit.
Did not see anything.
Probably put him on the second one, but this is a demotion to Pavel Buchnevich that I think if you're Jim Montgomery, you can't healthy scratch him. If you do, you might lose him altogether because obviously he's going through it. But this is as close to a healthy scratch as you can ask by putting him on a third unit.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone on BK. Coming up next, we will give you that update on Beau Pribula, and I'll pass along what Eli Drinkwitz had to say about some of the players that maybe are going to get a pay raise in the offseason. We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here in Missouri. Big news. It's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming here to the Show Me State on December 1st, which is less than 2 weeks away. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. No wonder it's America's top-rated sportsbook app. The countdown is on. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use my code TANNER. That's code TANNER. New Missouri customers can sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code TANNER. The crown is yours. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues back in action tonight as they visit the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll have pregame coverage tonight starting at 5 o'clock with Alex Ferrario and puck drop at 6 o'clock with Chris Garber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, we got an update on Beau Pribula. This comes from Eli Drinkwitz at his press conference today. Says that, quote, Beau is our starting quarterback, end quote. Adds that if he is healthy enough to return, he will start. This is all coming from Gabe DeArmond of PowerMizzou.com. Drinkwitz said that he's been super impressed with Matt Zollers. The moment has never been too big for him. Said that Zollers got the game ball after the Mississippi State game. Said that the anticipation for Mizzou right now is that Matt Zollers will be the starter this week against Oklahoma. But if that changes, we can check Twitter to find out.
Oh, well, thanks. What,
Yeah.
Is he going to tweet it or something? Is that what he's talking
You got a
about?
burner account?
He said Pete
Yeah, but you won't
Famel.
put it from the real one.
He said Pete Famel will tweet it out to let us know with the injury report.
Got a sense he's not happy with Pete for something.
Well, Pete's the one that tweets everything out.
I know. He's taking a shot at him right there.
It's like saying Frank Saravalli is going to tweet out what the new
100%,
expansion
that's
draft
exactly
is going
what
to
it
be.
is.
That's Bettman at his next press conference for an expansion.
I
he's
think
playing
Beau
games.
Pribula is starting this week.
I do too. This screams he's playing games.
Yeah, you don't
right
call
now.
him your starter in the press conference before a game if he's not playing.
How do you guys feel about him handling it this way? He said, hey, we don't have a Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe situation. This isn't a spot where, like, Tom Brady's taking over the way that Matt Zollers has, and he's immediately going to be the starter. He still views Beau Pribula as the starting quarterback at Mizzou. Do you guys think he's handling this the correct way?
Yeah, because then Pribula is going to transfer with him to Penn State, and that means
I'm being
Zollers will stay in
serious,
Mizzou. Yeah, I think it's a big game that you go with the quarterback that got you to this point, essentially, before he got injured, because if he doesn't go down, you're not even talking about Matt Zollers. If Zollers is the play moving forward, I can see a situation where I would rather put Zollers out there in this game and let him continue to build.
Yeah, I don't have it. I find the way he's handling it a bit weird and a bit strange. I don't know why you come out and say Pribula is our starter and then come out and say Zollers is the guy we're preparing to start this game.
What do you mean?
I don't understand why I'm sure he was asked about Pribula's health. I'm not sure if he was asked about if he is your starting quarterback moving forward or not. Yeah, I would rather go with Zollers if you think he's the guy of the future. Again, to me, that is what it is all determined about. Who do you believe is your starting quarterback moving forward? And if his answer is Beau Pribula, then I think you name Beau Pribula your starter when he's healthy. And if he's not healthy and able to go, sure, then you go to Zollers. But that's what it all about is to me. Who do you think your quarterback is for 2026?
What if it's just about the rest of this season? Like, what if they're just saying, hey, we're putting our best team out there right now. We're trying to win as many games as we can in 2025, and we'll worry about 2026 when we get to 2026. Because I think that's what it is. They've got 2 games left this season. And I think Eli Drinkwitz is saying publicly, like, listen, our best chance to win right now is with Beau Pribula as our starter, and if he's healthy, he's going to be the guy that goes out there. Like, we've got seniors that are playing their final season at Mizzou. We've got a program that's trying to get to 9 wins, hopefully get to 10 with a win in the bowl game. Like, that's our stated goal. We try to win every game that we go out there to play. And I think that's the right way to approach it, personally. I know that there is disagreement on our show about that, but if Beau Pribula is the better quarterback, and let's start here. As of today, who do you guys think is the better quarterback for Mizzou?
Right now, it's Beau, for sure.
Yeah.
We all agree on that?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's honestly all that close. I think Zollers has a better arm, but I don't think he's a better quarterback right now than Beau Pribula is. This time next year, that may be different. Like, by August of next season, maybe the better quarterback and better arm is Matt Zollers. But I think he needs some time. I think he needs experience. I think he needs to get to that place, as all freshman quarterbacks do. So I think, personally, to answer my own question, is he handling this the right way? I think yes. And if Beau Pribula is healthy and ready to go, I think he should start on Saturday against Oklahoma. I think he gives you the best chance to win in this game against OU.
Yeah, right now, yeah, I would agree because I think it is, like, if you are planning the here and now, I agree. Beau is their better option. But again, I think you're at the point in the year where I would be planning on, okay, what sets us up best for 2026? And if your answer is we think Zollers is that guy, I think it is more valuable for Zollers to be getting that start. I just truly believe. And I think what's weird about it is right now it would fit what they're trying to do better with Beau because of the way they utilize the run game. And Beau is a much better runner than he is passer. And I just don't know if he's going to. I said this when they played Alabama. Beau's not going to beat teams with his arm. And teams are going to force him to do that. And if he can't do it and he can't develop, and maybe he can in the offseason, then you're limited in what your ceiling is, in my opinion, in terms of as a program with him at quarterback. Zollers, I see the arm as something that could help pick apart other teams when he gets there.
He's just not there yet.
And that's why I think, like, if I am planning ahead and I am thinking, okay, who is our starting quarterback in the future? It's Zollers, and I feel like these reps are so important to go in game. I get it. Oklahoma has a great defense. He's going to see a great defense when he starts next year, too. So I think it is valuable for him to get those kind of reps. To where if I am Drinkwitz and I am leaning towards Zollers as my quarterback of the future, I would start Zollers for the final 2 games and then the bowl game for sure.
Yeah, I think I agree with Tanner. It's just if I have Zollers and that's the guy that's going to be there next year, and I know he hasn't looked good, it sounds kind of harsh. Yes, you want to win every game, and yes, it would be great to get to 9 or 10, but I feel like the main focus is can we make sure Zollers is ready next year and you get a couple of reps for him. The hard part that I can see where BK's coming from, like to sit on the fence with this, is the one piece that BK said is right. Like, you are trying to win games for seniors. Like, and I know that doesn't matter in the big
Tanner
scheme
doesn't
of things.
care about that.
No, I know it doesn't matter in the big scheme of things.
It does, though.
But these guys have been there for 4 years, and you want to go out on a positive note.
I get it, and I feel for the seniors. I really do. And they should be trying to win every game. But here's the thing. How can I hear that argument of, like, hey, Mizzou's wanting to win every game when their coach is flirting with other programs probably?
He's not, his agent is, and they are clear. They just
But he talks with his agent,
all
to
of
be
these
clear.
coaches, all of these coaches are doing that, though.
Yeah, the players, many
They all
of them
take
are
phone
also
calls.
talking to their agents, and they're starting to prepare for what their offseason is going to look like as well. Like, let's be real, T-Bone. There's going to come a point in time where you potentially have an opportunity to go to another market, right? Like that. If you end up having that opportunity, I don't expect that you don't talk to them while we're still continuing to do a show. You can walk and chew gum at the same time. I think highly enough of you to believe that.
Yeah, you're not the Cardinals.
If Alex or I had another opportunity to do other stuff elsewhere, like we can continue to do the show and do it at, I think, at least a really high level. And that's like at the lowest possible level compared to college football, of course. But yeah, I just believe that they can continue doing this job at a high level. And I personally am of the belief, like what Alex said of trying to win right now, I think that has value. I also think you could do harm to Matt Zollers. This is a place where me and T-Bone just disagree on this, and that's okay. There's differing viewpoints, and reasonable minds can disagree on quarterback development. I think you can do as much harm as good by starting Matt Zollers against a defensive line like this, against a scheme that is as confusing as Oklahoma's is. I mean, they have made really good quarterbacks look bad this season. And now you want to throw a true freshman out there against that kind of defense. That's just a really tough spot to be in as a team. So if you have another alternative, I would try to save Matt Zollers almost from himself in this spot, where I don't want him learning bad habits. And that sometimes happens. We see this in the NFL all the time, where guys get put behind a bad offensive line or they get put into a bad situation. They create bad habits, and the next season it's hard to break those, even when you have a better situation around them. To me, that could happen with Matt Zollers if you go out there and put him on the road, raucous environment, against that kind of defense on Saturday. So I would rather Pribula start because he's better. I would also rather Pribula start while acknowledging what you're saying, T-Bone, which is Zollers maybe still be your future. I think that starting this game would actually be potentially bad for him. Somebody on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/101ESPN mentioned that, asked the question of can Beau Pribula transfer this offseason? Yeah, he's still got one more year of eligibility. So he either could be back at Mizzou next year or he could transfer elsewhere if he wanted to. So that's another thing to keep in mind there as well. One other thing. This comes from Eli Drinkwitz at his press conference today as well. We were talking about the Fortune 500 companies that he wants to get involved. We did that with Tom Hart yesterday. Here's what Eli Drinkwitz said when asked about that comment. Quote, people have to be adamant about doing it. I think about this. There's a lot of really, really good players from the state of Missouri that are playing at other places. I would love for them to play here, But that's not free. So how do I get them here? I need to do a better job recruiting them, but we also need to offer them a competitive package. If we want to be a championship team, I have to continue to build a championship roster. I have to lean into it as the leader of this organization and what it's going to take. It's going to take more than what it has taken to get to this point. We're about to go to 9 SEC games. It ain't getting any easier. As I read and see a lot of these comments that are coming out from Eli Drinkwitz and then the stuff that Tom Hart reported over the weekend as well, this is either going to be one of two things that we're going to look back on this as. A, it was breadcrumbs as to why he's leaving. Or B, it was a demand and Mizzou met the demand and now they're going to be put into a better situation because of it. I don't think there's any in between. Either Mizzou's going to set itself up at a really good spot because it's had so much success, and Drinkwitz was the belle of the ball other than Lane Kiffin when it came to all these coaching vacancies. And so he could demand things that ultimately fans get to see the reward of because now you get the investment into the program, you see a better team, and that opens up opportunities in the future that would not have existed otherwise because he had leverage over the program, right? Just like if you have leverage over your job, you potentially get a raise that would not have been there otherwise. That's the good. The bad is he might be telling you exactly why he's going to be the head coach at Florida, Auburn, Penn State, or LSU by the end of the year.
Yeah. The real part, because I think they're intertwined. I think this is his demand. This is the last-ditch effort before he takes the job, and it's can you meet it? My question is it a demand, or does he feel like that he's already been told it's not happening, and you're telling him this is where it's going? So,
and correct me if I'm wrong, BK, because you have better understanding of college athletics, that world. The tough part is this isn't almost a demand that Missouri can reach on its own.
Correct.
It is one that you have to get. I mean, the Fortune 500 companies, as Tom Hart mentioned, you almost have to go out and sell them on the idea of spending money. You can create the best sales pitch ever, and it may still not be enough for them to commit money towards your program. And that's a tough spot to be in, because if it was just a, hey, I want to be the highest paid coach in college football, Mizzou can go, that is
100%.
easy. We can go to our board. The board has seen what you have done. Boom, we can take care of that. When you start having to include outside factors, that's where it gets very tough, and it's no longer so much in the hands of Missouri. They're going to try their best, but it's no longer in their hands. Feels like breadcrumbs to why he's leaving.
Here's a quote for you. Drinkwitz on Mizzou retaining Matt Zollers and Donovan Alugbide.
Future quarterback.
I saw on Twitter, somebody said we've got to keep Donovan and Matt. That's wishful thinking. You got to offer them the same amount of money that other people are. That's the reality.
That's a weird comment for a guy that's walking and chewing gum at the
already
same
got
time.
that on the books, I guess, where his next destination is going to be.
You're right. He should start both. So his future quarterback at Penn State.
That's why he's not starting Matt.
I don't love the vibes. I don't love the vibes. Over the last week, this thing has turned where it went from, I think he's coming back. I think he's playing this game. I think he's coming back, though, to, I think he's playing the game, and I'm not sure he's coming back, man. I hope he does, but I think we should start maybe acquainting ourselves with some of these candidates that are potentially going to be out there for Mizzou.
So when I order my Drinkwitz Penn State t-shirt, you want one or no?
Coming up in 15 minutes, the Blues sure look a whole lot like the pre-Four Nations team from a year ago. We'll get into that, but the Junk Drawer is next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. So, Alex, earlier today, I dropped off Luca at daycare, as I do each and every day before the show. And the guy was coming down the elevator. He was walking out, and I'm walking out from Luca's class as well. And he says, "Hey, BK?"
Oh, God, small talk. Not in an elevator.
I said, "Yeah, man, what's going on?" He said, "Dude, love listening to the show. I'm a driver, so I'm driving around all day long."
That's okay, then.
It's like, "Fantastic. Appreciate you tuning in, blah, blah, blah." We go through it, and we're talking about things. He's like, "Hey, are you actually a bourbon drinker?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" Like, I just never know if you guys are being true or what the whole vibe is here. I was like,
Why
no.
would we lie?
Yeah, I was like, well, Alex, I don't know if you really love bourbon after seeing your response to some of what we drink on Fridays.
Oh, yeah, no, what I'm saying is, why do people think we lie on the show? I've never once said I'm a bourbon drinker.
That's fair.
Mine are shooters. Mine aren't sipping.
You do like the pickle
I do.
juice
We
ones?
make it as nasty as possible when we golf. It might be a punishment for you guys one year.
I'm never golfing with you.
I don't know if you guys would make it.
I definitely would not. I don't enjoy those shooters.
Those are so bad.
Yeah, that does nothing for me. Reason I bring this up, dude, there's nothing better than hearing about the listeners that are tuning into our show each and every day. It's the greatest feeling in the world.
I said, "Oh no, small talk," because I didn't know he was going to bring up the show. I thought it was just that awkward parent small talk where you talk about your
that
kids.
happens sometimes.
Get me the hell out of this elevator. But small talk about the show, anytime people come up and say that, man, it just, I don't know, it makes me feel good about what we do. Because people, especially as a driver, like, because there's a lot of drivers out there. I haven't been to the level of driving like a semi truck or something like that, but I have done the pest control where I'm in my car for 8 hours a day, going to stop to stop to stop. And let me tell you, that is boring as all hell. So, like, to have something that keeps you entertained, that feels really good. So yeah, I would have felt awesome about that.
Last time I ran into someone that was a fan of the show, I was at a Blues game when they turned around and said, "Hey, are you that guy I've heard before on 101 ESPN?" I went, "Yeah, that's me."
I'm Alex.
He goes, "You're Tyler, right?" Well, clearly not a number one fan of the show. But then I corrected him, and then he still got, I think he got mad I corrected him. So I guess I was supposed to be Tyler.
I had one of those awkward elevator moments last week where I was getting on it, and I was standing at the door waiting for it to open, and there was somebody in there that was coming out, and I hate those people that automatically go on the elevator and don't let everybody else walk out. I felt like a jerk, and then he was like, "Oh, we're not getting out on this floor," and then we rode on the elevator together, and I was the ass. So I'm like, "This is awkward, guys."
From the 636, did BK buy that listener a free beer like he does at Cardinals games? I did not. We were at
a bourbon.
That's where I take my son to daycare, so there was none available. No, we have 3 different people that just texted in, Alex, that are drivers. Trucker here, listen to you guys every day. Semi-driver here. I listen every day from Central Indiana.
That's awesome.
How about that?
Yeah. Well, props to you guys, because that's not a forgiving job. And
that's real work.
Yeah. Again, I only did it for 8 hours. I didn't do it for weekends or weeks on end. So God bless you guys for doing that. And I'm glad that we keep you entertained while you drive.
If you didn't have to take into account the family side of things, Alex, which is obviously a difficult thing to incorporate into this mix, but I could see myself enjoying doing a year of truck driving.
Oh, if I
could not do it long term, but for a year driving across the country, I think
if I was single, I could do it. Because I like to travel, and I'm weird to where I like road trips. I prefer to drive. I can't even convince my wife to drive to Disney World because she just refuses to do it. So I think it wouldn't be long term like you mentioned, but I think if I was single and had 0 commitments, yeah, I probably would.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do a year of it.
I had a buddy who did it too, and he got paid well.
I couldn't do it. I find myself wishing I could fly back home for Thanksgiving, and that's only a 2.5-hour drive. So there's no way I could drive around the country.
We've got 20 different truck drivers that are texting in right now. And somebody else said, "Guys, stop texting while you're driving."
Yeah, seriously. Y'all need to chill out there. Maybe they're pulled over at a truck stop.
And they're all at a rest area listening together.
Yeah.
It's like a tailgate together.
Those truckers are crazy, too, because they get, like, beds in the back bed of their semis, and then they, like, go and shower in gas stations.
Big 1 o'clock hour coming up.
Sounds like a nightmare for you.
At the end of the 1 o'clock hour, we will give you a shot to score a pair of tickets to see Motley Crue with special guests Tesla and Extreme. That is coming up on August 19th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. So be sure to stay tuned for your shot to score a pair of tickets to see Motley Crue. Coming up next, we'll talk about the Blues looking a whole lot like the team that we saw pre-Four Nations and give you a chance to win Blues tickets as they take on the Bruins on December 9th. We'll do that all next year on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario back with you to talk about my friends out at Ted Drew's famous frozen custard off of Chippewa, open daily and has been there, a St. Louis tradition since 1929. And we still got that fall weather. I think it's going to be like 65 degrees today. It's a perfect time to go out there, enjoy the sunshine, and get out there with family and friends and enjoy that delicious frozen custard that has been around for 4 generations, a family-run business built on quality of service and a love for St. Louis. And I talk about the tradition all the time. I have it with my girls in the summertime, in the fall, Friday nights, with the opportunities for us to get out there and enjoy Ted Drew's and just sit, have dinner on the hill, get frozen custard, and then just spend time together. And people are doing it nonstop. It's perfect anytime for you. Christmas season rolls around. You can go get your Christmas tree out at Ted Drew's. So get on out there, check out their specialty flavors, mix and match, buy it in the quart, bring it home, freeze it, have it for all of your holiday parties. It's been around for 96 years, 4 generations of families serving St. Louisans that famous frozen custard. While you're there, check out the gift shop and History Museum. That's right across the parking lot. Ted Drew's famous frozen custard, unmatched quality, unforgettable taste.
Alex, the further that we get into this season and the more that things don't change, the more I think to myself, what if we just saw a really hot 25-game stretch, and that's as good as it's ever going to be for this Blues core? Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. So I looked back at what the Blues did during that post-Four Nations stretch. It was 26 games in total. This is during the regular season prior to the Winnipeg Jets series. And in those 26 games, the Blues averaged 3.8 goals per game. They were one of the highest scoring teams in the NHL. They were also one of the best teams in the NHL at goal prevention. They allowed 2.3 goals per game. So they were outscoring the opposition by 1.5 goals in every single game. They were amazing. If you look at the shots on goal at 5-on-5, it wasn't anything crazy. 21 per game. They had a really high shooting percentage. Shots allowed per game, though, they allowed nothing. 18 shots per game at 5-on-5 in that 26-game stretch after the Four Nations. So all of that was great. And then you go back and you look at, okay, what were you doing before that, though? In the 56 games prior to the Four Nations face-off last year, the Blues were averaging 2.7 goals per game. This year, they're at 2.8. In the 56 games prior to the Four Nations face-off, they were allowing 3 goals per game. Again, post-Four Nations, 2.3. This year, 3.8. That's really bad. Last year at 5-on-5, they had 21 shots per game at 5-on-5. That was the same as this year and the same as what it was in the post-Four Nations. So they've always had the same number of shots on goal at 5-on-5. And then shots allowed at 5-on-5. It was 23 prior to the Four Nations face-off last year. It's 23 this year. It was 19 after the Four Nations face-off last year. So they are allowing more shots on goal, way more goals, and they're scoring far less right now than they were after the Four Nations. Alex, this team that we're witnessing right now is almost a mirror image of the team that we saw prior to Four Nations last year. All of the underlying numbers look remarkably similar. The one noticeable difference is just your goaltending hasn't been quite as good. And really, that's a couple of blow-up games more than anything else.
That's gotten better over the last 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, everything else, you look like the team that we saw for 56 games last year. And then they got hot. They had that mini training camp, a complete reset. Everybody got ready to go. And then down the stretch, they played unbelievable hockey, inspired hockey. And they deserve all of the credit in the world for it. But as JR mentioned earlier today, they had every reason to. They were inspired. They saw where they were at in the standings and exactly where they had to get in order to get to the playoffs. And they did it. Credit to all of them for doing so. It appears that that wasn't repeatable. And so now my big question is like, what if this is who you are? Because I've now seen 75 games out of the last 100 where you're this team. That means 75% of the time, you're performing like the team that's one of the worst in the NHL, not one of the best in the NHL. That's a pretty big sample size that we're talking about here, man. That's 75 out of the last 101 games. Where do you fall on this after seeing some of the numbers in black and white here?
Well, and the crazy part is I bet if you went even further with that and looked at, the year Berube to Bannister, look at what they were in that window of Berube to Bannister, and then you go from Bannister to Montgomery. Well, you did the Bannister to Montgomery, but then once they went on that run with Bannister and what they changed, it does feel like they're the same team. And what I make of it is what we talked yesterday. Like, man, the core of your players right now, it's concerning. I mean, you listed that off. I went back and looked at the 26 games. Robert Thomas led the National Hockey League in points in 26 games. He had the most points of anybody in the NHL in that Four Nations stretch. You're going to tell me that Robert Thomas, that was just a hot stretch and that's not more like Robert Thomas? Because I feel like that's Robert Thomas. But there's no consistency.
Do you have the numbers in front of you?
Yeah, he had 8 goals and 40 points. So he had 8 goals and 32 assists in 26 games.
I would say, yes, that's not Robert Thomas.
I think he's a point per game. I think he's a point per game player, if not above. We've talked about him being a 100-point player.
Yeah, but you said he had 40 points.
Yeah, he had 40 points in 26 games. Yeah.
I would say that's an outlier performance.
Sure, that's 1.5 points per game, but that's definitely
a 120-point performance, which is like the best in the NHL. And no, I like personally for me, I do not see Robert Thomas in that light. This year, just as an example, Robert Thomas is at 12 points in 15 games. I think that's closer to Robert Thomas than that.
I think he's a 100-point player. And he played like a 100-point player in that second half stretch.
But that's the only time that we've seen that.
2 years ago, he was close to being a 100-point player. And a lot of that was in a second half stretch. Like he had like 80-something points, I think, the one season. That was when we...
86.
Yeah, and he was out for a little bit, too.
in 82 games.
Okay.
So
But we talked about him being a 100-point player at that time.
he has. I was always skeptical of it. I don't know that he's a 100-point player. I think he'd have to score 30 goals because there are very few that have done it.
Or he's got to have somebody who scores goals on his teams where he picks
like
up the
40
assists.
Plus.
Yeah.
And, you know, like a superstar level talent that's playing beside him. The stretch that you're talking about, though, he wasn't just on pace to get to 100. He was on pace to get to like 120.
Right. I'm not just the 26 games was just I was looking at that, but I believe he is a 100-point player, and he played like a 100-point player in that 26-game stretch.
Right. But I'm talking about the last 101 games. He's more of a point per game player or below.
Right. And the last 100-something games, that's the problem with where he played here for 26. Why is he not playing this way in a 100-game stretch? Where's the consistency?
Hard. Like that's like me saying, hey, in a 20-game baseball stretch, a guy hit 8 home runs. Why over 162 is he not hitting 50? Because that wasn't real. Like he can't do that over 162. You can't just take a 10-game sample and say this is who a guy is. Like teams are going to adjust how they're pitching to him. Or if Robert Thomas has that kind of a stretch, teams are going to adjust how they're matching up with his line. Like it's really, really, really hard to become that 100-point player. That's the biggest jump for these NHL players. Going from really good, which is like 80 points, to elite, there are very few guys that actually make that leap. And when they do, it's going to take, at least for me watching them, a hell of a lot more than a 25-game stretch to believe that they've done it. Like Robert Thomas was playing at a truly elite level at that point. But I've got to see it for like a full season.
And that's where I'm getting at. There's no consistency with these guys. You ask, what do I make of it?
That's the consistency, is that they're not consistent.
Well, no, the consistency is if they want to take that next step to being the players that they were supposed to be in terms of being the core pieces of this team, you've got to have consistency to your game.
But
and
what
they've
if they're
had
not capable of that?
Well, then you banked on the wrong players.
Because that's my read on this. Like I'm looking at Robert Thomas's entire career right now. And this is not a bad player. The player that I'm about to read you is worth $8.5 million a year, easily. But in 2022, 72 games, 77 points. Really good season. The next year, followed it up. 73 games, 65 points. Pretty good season. The next year, 82 games, 86 points. Very good season. And then last year, 70 games, 81 points. For his entire NHL career now, 481 games, 408 points. He's pretty damn close for his career to a point-per-game player. At no point in that stretch, though, did he appear in any individual season or over any stretch of seasons to be something more than that. There are individual 10 to 20-game sample sizes where he'll put up, 30 points in a 20-game stretch, and it looks, this is it. It's coming. And then it doesn't. I could say the same thing about Kyrou. I could say the same thing about Buchnevich. Like, all of these dudes have stretches where they look good. Hell, Alec Burleson had a first half where he looked like not an MVP candidate necessarily, but definitely an all-star caliber player. Did that twice in a row.
It was enough to convince the Cardinals he's part of the core.
Exactly. So, like, I've seen this, whether it be for baseball or hockey, whatever it may be. The stars are the stars that can do it for 82. I see it over 82 games. Thomas hasn't been that. Kyrou hasn't been that. We haven't seen that from any of these dudes just yet. And so, like, I see the 26-game sample size where the Blues were amazing and Thomas was a big part of that. Well, then maybe that's part of the problem, is that they thought he was going to repeat that, and he hasn't and can't repeat it. I think we're all waiting for that next step, and it may just not be coming. Maybe he's just a good number one center, and there's nothing more there. Yeah. He's just a really good number one center. You can win with that. That's not a bad thing. This is not me, like, tearing down Robert Thomas as a player, but if the expectation was superstar, best in the league, like these kinds of aspirations, I don't see it.
Well, that guy you mentioned, the 80 point per game guy that doesn't have that next step, you're searching for that guy to be with him to get him to that next level. Like, he is not a guy. Can he be a 100-point player? Maybe, but he has to have another guy that is elite with him. And that is the problem right now, is they don't have that guy to take that step with him. Because I think he can be it, but he can't do it on his own. And that's their problem, is they don't have that guy that's with him, and they haven't had that guy. And that's probably part of the inconsistencies. Think back to what led to him taking off in that 26-game stretch that you're talking about. Guess who else played really well on his line? Booch, who BK just made reference to, that's inconsistent. Can he be a 100-point guy? Maybe, but he's not a 100-point guy by himself. And that's not to say, like, that Robert Thomas is a bad player. I agree, he's not. but he's not a championship caliber player by himself. And that's when you build this pack mentality, you're never going to get the most out of a Robert Thomas, a Booch, a Kyrou, these kind of guys. I think what you're seeing is pack mentality does not work for the St. Louis Blues right now. They are in need of a superstar.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, and I think what I'm saying here is in that 26-game stretch where Thomas was playing like a superstar, that's what was required of them to maintain that level of performance. Mm-hmm. They needed Thomas to continue to maintain that level. And maybe this is where we go in our different directions. We reach our fork in the road. I don't think that was sustainable. I don't think it was reasonable to expect Robert Thomas to put up the equivalent of 40 points in 26 games this year over 82. I don't think it was reasonable to expect him to be a 120-point producer for you, which is what it would have taken to repeat that kind of a performance over 82 games this year. And if that's what it was going to take for them to be that team again, which was good enough, by the way, for them to simply eke into the playoffs, not to like be the third seed in the Central, but to eke in as constructed, maybe this was always doomed. And we got out over our skis because of that 26-game sample size.
Yeah.
That's my fear.
Yeah, my fear, sorry to cut you off, Alex, my fear is that the core is ceiling as a fringe playoff team. It is nothing more, and when it's less, it is what it is right now, which is one of the worst teams in the NHL.
Yeah, I think that is all fair, and they're showing that to you. You asked the question at the beginning, what do I make of those numbers? What I make of the numbers is the players aren't willing to buy into the system that works. And whether we feel like this is their ceiling or not, we've seen what they can do, and if you're not willing to buy into it for an 82-game schedule, then this is what it comes out to be.
But what I have a tough time is, does the system play a factor in this at all? Like, I think this is just the players.
That's what I'm...
I think that's the fork in the road, because I don't know, like, they've gone through three coaches, right? And we agree Berube and Montgomery were preaching the same thing, right?
And they're good coaches.
And are good coaches, and poor Berube's probably going to get fired from Toronto. But this is where it's the players. It is nothing with the system. You can argue it is buy-in. I will agree on that.
But what I'm saying is the system, yes, it's the players, because they're not willing to do the system that works.
And what I would argue is I don't know that it's necessarily buy-in. I think that they may have a skill impediment here. I think they may not have the talent necessary. Like,
that's the one I disagree with. I think they have the talent in certain guys. It's unwilling to be consistent every single game.
Because, like, the thing I don't know with the system argument, so, like, if they played, I know what they're trying to play, right? They're trying to get in on the forecheck. But if they decided to play, let's play like the Oilers, do we think suddenly a change in the system that would maybe fit them better would lead to more success?
No.
No, I think it is a skill issue. They don't have the superstar.
You don't have the dudes.
Everything pieces together.
The system in the NHL is eerily similar because everybody wants you to go to the front of the net. It's the ones that have the superstars that can score without having to go to the front of the net. But this is a team that's not made of those guys. They have guys that can win off of the puck or win off of the side of the net with shots. That's what I'm talking about with skill level. Like, Kyrou's got the skill level to score from wherever he wants. Holloway's got that skill as well. But there are other guys like Pavel Buchnevich. Guess what? If you want to score goals, you're going to have to go to the front of the net. And he's unwilling to do that.
Or unable.
I don't know if it's unable because he goes to it sometimes.
Right. And, like,
you can't be unable to do it if you've done it before.
This is where I have a hard time. I don't really know how else to reiterate this point other than if you are an inconsistent player, that is your consistency. Like, that is what I expect out of you, is that you are an inconsistent player.
I agree with that.
Pavel Buchnevich is an inconsistent player. Robert Thomas is a very good player. He is inconsistent. Jordan Kyrou is a very good player. He is inconsistent. And so when you have a team that is full of inconsistent producers, and I don't know if it's just about buy-in. I think some of it is, like when I talk about Mizzou, they don't have the talent of Alabama. They don't have the talent of Georgia. And so they have a talent deficiency going into these games. They have to be perfect in order to win those football games. I don't expect them to. What I'm starting to wonder with this Blues team is, do they have a talent deficiency compared to the better teams in the NHL right now? I don't think they should be this bad. And I think a lot of that is the goaltending. The goaltending is better than what it's shown this year. I don't even want to have a conversation about them because it's all fluky. Like, I think they're fine. I think they will be fine. They just have had a really rotten start to the season. It's already starting to get better than what it was. The skaters is where I have the questions, and I don't know that they have the answers. And that's scary, because you're locked into this core, and there's no easy way out of this. For all of the talk about, hey, just trade X, Y, and Z, to who? who's taking these guys on, and how many of them are actually waiving their no trade clauses to go to the teams that will take them on. That's where things get really tough, and I don't know what the plan is there. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Coming up on the other side, we'll get into Bet It or Forget It, but right now is your shot to score a pair of tickets to see the Blues take on the Bruins coming up on December 9th at the Enterprise Center.
Why don't we
I know
never
everybody's
have something
excited about this.
positive
The
before we
first
give these away?
10,000
Except for the
fans will
Cardinals
receive a
segment.
quilted quarter zip. That is featuring the blue note on the front and the new STL logo on the back. It's all courtesy of Pepsi Zero Sugar. You can find a bonus chance to win free tickets to that game at 101ESPN.com or on the 101 ESPN app. All of those tickets to the game are on sale right now at stlouisblues.com/promotions. Right now at 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line. If you are texter number 101 and you can name the coach that we said, this guy might be the answer at USC. Who did we say earlier today could be the coach that bolts his current job for USC? If you have the correct answer to that, your texter number 101, you're getting those tickets to see the Blues versus the Bruins coming up on December 9th. Bet It or Forget It next year on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are betting it or forgetting it here on 101 ESPN. Let's start out with this one. Boys, bet it or forget it. All of Arenado, Sonny Gray, and Wilson Contreras will be traded by the end of the offseason.
All of them. So Gray, Arenado, Contreras. Was there anyone else in there?
Nope, just those three. The three no trade clause guys.
I'm going to say forget it. I don't think they get all three of them gone. Wilson's the one that I'm kind of held up on. I think the other two are going to be gone. Arenado seems like it's going to be certain. Sonny Gray really feels like they want to move off of that. Contreras is the one that I'm wondering if they hold on to.
I saw this today from Jeff Paston. It's the reason that I'm asking this question. Cardinals are open for business. Arenado almost certain to waive his no trade protection. Wilson Contreras could too. The big prize is utility man Brendan Donovan, whose departure could pave the way for J.J. Weatherholt. Others who could be moved include JoJo Romero, Nolan Gorman, and Sonny Gray. T-Bone?
I'm going to say forget it because I don't think I'm really skeptical that Contreras gets dealt because I find this first baseman market's going to be hard to materialize to where there's going to be a team that he wants to go to, and he's more open to staying. And I'm still somewhat skeptical that Arenado gets dealt. I know I get yelled at all the time that I should accept that he will be traded, and it has to happen. I agree on all of those fronts, but I have a tough time finding where he's going. I don't see a lot of teams shopping for third baseman, and if they are, it's like three. It's like, okay, well, you can sign Bregman, you can sign Suarez, and both those guys are playing really well, and you don't have to get an aging Arenado. So I will forget this.
I'm going to bet it. I think they end up moving all of these guys. I think Chaim Bloom might be a little more aggressive with the veterans than we were expecting going into the offseason. So that's where I'll land for today. Alex?
Guys, bet it or forget it. Logan Mayu will be back before Christmas.
Forget it.
I will forget it. Well, yeah, I'll forget it as well. I think they want to take their time in getting him in the minor leagues playing games. This one I'm a little bit more open to pre-Christmas than it was pre-Thanksgiving when we did that like 2 weeks ago. I'm still going to say forget it. I think they'll stick with what they've got for now. I think it'll be post-Olympics that you see him return.
Yeah, I think I'm going to bet it. It makes sense if they wait, but I have a feeling that at some point they're going to look at it and say, might as well just throw him back into this whirlwind.
Guys, bet it or forget it. We will see Alabama miss the college football playoff.
Ooh. I'm going to say forget it. I think they end up getting in. All they've got to do is win this week. Or they've got, what, one game left or two?
Two. Oh, they got a huge barn burner against Eastern Illinois.
Okay, I forgot who their other game was against. I know they've got Auburn at the end of the year. So I'll say they will make the playoff. I forgot how you framed it, but they think they will end up making the playoff.
I'm going to say bet it. They make the playoffs.
I find them fascinating tonight from the committee's perspective because I think they're going to put them at 10. But I don't feel great about saying that.
I'm not sure how much that matters, though.
Well, the reason I say that is because right now is if you put them at 11, for example, they're on the outside looking in, and I understand there are games to be played. Right. But that would equal a doomsday scenario where the committee would say, hey, BYU wins the Big 12 championship. We're going to put BYU and potentially Texas Tech in over Alabama.
I don't think Texas Tech would get in over Alabama.
Oh, see, I don't know. Alabama, I know they've got some big wins. They've got an awful, awful loss on the resume. Yeah. And that Florida State game has really aged poorly for them. And I think there's a chance they could lose to Auburn. I mean, that defense is so good. It's going to make it.
That would change things.
It's when you play the Browns in the NFL where it's like, oh, my God, that team is so bad. But holy crap, they make it a dogfight.
Yeah, that would change things. Because if BYU, I think the doomsday, I don't think the Big 12 is getting a second team in over Alabama. And I don't think the ACC will either. I think Bama is the one that's pretty insulated here. Is there a scenario where Bama, though, gets to the SEC championship game? Because that's where it could get interesting.
I think they can't anymore, right?
Are they blocked from the SEC championship game? Because they only have one SEC loss.
Where's this SEC at? Well, right now they don't hold a tie, whatever the hell the tiebreaker is, over Ole Miss.
Okay.
Georgia's ahead of them along with A&M. So they're probably not blocked. Block's probably strong, but it's very difficult to see their path to getting to
Because that could have been another scenario where they get to the SEC championship game, lose it, and then don't end up getting to the college football playoff because that's their third loss on the season, which would have been, that's your doomsday scenario. And that is how we would officially put an end to these conference championship games.
Yeah. Do you think people would freak out of Bama being left out?
If they ended up getting to the conference championship game in the SEC, which is at least the deepest conference in America this year, if not the best, and they miss out because of that, ooh, boy, yeah, people would have been pretty furious. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are betting it or forgetting it here on 101 ESPN. From the 636, Bet It or Forget It, Cairo gets traded at some point before the end of the season.
Shoulder shrug emoji. I have no idea anymore.
Forget it for me.
Reports say everybody's available.
Yeah.
I say forget it. I just think it's too hard of a deal before the offseason.
I agree. I would forget it. I think if you're going to see them pluck apart the core, it's an offseason move. It is too difficult to move this kind of money at the trade deadline. And that's even being said with the trade deadline or with the cap exploding
Unless
this year.
the player wants to go. That's the part that you don't know.
Even then.
Bet it or forget it. The Blues get a win tonight, and Craig Berube is fired in a week.
Forget it. I don't think he's going to get fired. You don't fire him a week after Trey Living talked today.
But that would be cruel.
Yeah, if he gets fired, it would be post-Olympics. But I don't see Trey Living firing Craig Berube.
I'm forgetting it. One, I don't see Berube getting fired. Two, the first part of that felt very unrealistic.
Bet it or forget it. I agree with you guys. Bet it or forget it. With Burrow coming back, the Bengals will let Flacco go, and they will do the Steelers will sign him due to the Rodgers injury. That's fun.
What?
Remember when Tomlin came out and he was furious that the Browns traded Joe Flacco to the Bengals?
Yeah.
And now potentially Flacco gets let go. No, I don't think they're going to let him go because they know Burrow could get hurt at any point.
I was tongue-in-cheek there. I don't know if you're going to let Burrow go.
Yeah, I would forget this. I don't see them letting go of Flacco. That would be awesome, though. There's probably never been a player to play for 3 teams in a division in one season.
I can't imagine that's happened often. If so,
That's a Mike
Josh
McKenna.
Johnson would have been the guy.
That's Mike McKenna stuff right there, playing for like 7 different teams in 1 year.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Guys, bet it or forget it. Cam Ward will still end up being a top 15 quarterback when all is said and done. He's in such a bad situation, man. I would say right now the odds are against it.
It's going to take a while to get him to that point because you got to put a better supporting cast around him.
Yeah, I would forget this. Tennessee's just such a mess that I don't know that he's going to be able to get out of that.
Coming up next, I do want to play some audio for you. This is coming from Eli Drinkwitz at his press conference earlier today. He addressed the rumors of him potentially going elsewhere and talking a little bit about the NIL situation for Mizzou as well. We'll play it in its entirety for you next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues back in action tonight as they visit the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 5 o'clock with Alex Ferrario, then puck drop at 6 o'clock with Chris Garber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an Icon Heating and Air Conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, I wanted to play this audio for you. We mentioned some of the comments that Eli Drinkwitz had earlier today. I always think it's better to hear them than to just see them in print. So here is what Eli Drinkwitz had to say today at his press conference as it relates to his future. It is a little bit long, but I think the context is necessary. This audio courtesy of PowerMizzou.com.
Job rumors. I'm not going to comment on message board chatters, tweets, sources. I've maintained with you and our team that my complete focus is on the task at hand. Last week, people were tired of me because I couldn't win the big game. People had me meeting with my team and telling them that I was going to another school, none of which were true. Now this week it's a different story because we scored the second most points in the SEC this year at 49. So, all of this stuff is just a distraction. I would like to remind everybody, including our fans, we absolutely love Mizzou. We love what we're building. We've been to 6 straight bowl games. We've got the sellout streak going. Our administration has been nothing but phenomenal to me. The alignment that we have with our president, President Choi, his support for our program, his support in what we're trying to build. Todd Graves, the head of the Board of Curators, has been tremendous since he started on the board and is always looking for ways to improve our athletic department. Bob Blitz has been a guy that was instrumental in rebuilding the north end zone and being on the forefront of the athletics committee. Laird Beach has been great to work with on a day-to-day basis. Since I've been here, I've signed multiple extensions. In fact, I signed one this past summer. So all the speculation is really a tribute to them, and it's a tribute to our team's success and their commitment to our team. And that's where my focus is going to remain on our team and our current situation, and I'm not going to get into all that stuff because, again, it's just a distraction.
What do you make of it? What do you think?
Didn't it feel like a farewell?
I was going to say, it's kind of sounded like his farewell tour where he was thanking everybody that got him to this point.
Yeah, that's kind of what I felt like. No? Am I reading it wrong?
Hearing it actually sounds better to me than seeing it printed. That's just Drink. I think that's just who he is. Some of the other stuff that he was saying, the NIL stuff that he was talking about, made me a heck of a lot more concerned than that answer on his future and the speculation of him potentially being gone. So that makes me feel a little better, to be honest. We had different reads on the situation, which is fair. Like, who knows? All of this stuff is so...
Ole Miss probably feels great about Lane Kiffin's appearance today.
He just listed off every single person that built Mizzou and just basically said thank you for all of that.
I mean, I could also argue the exact opposite side of that, where it's like, hey, I'm listing all these people because these are the reasons that I'm going to stay. I have these great relationships with all of the most important people at the University of Missouri. That's a pretty good spot to be in if you're the head coach.
You could hear it that way.
So we heard it as a breakup, and he heard it as like almost like a best man speech.
Exactly. So I guess it depends on how you hear it, but I wanted to play it because earlier today we mentioned some, and listen, it's one of the biggest stories in the state. The head coach, the highest paid public employee in the state of Missouri, might be going elsewhere. And there's one way that he could end this. It's super easy. You signed a contract extension. We've seen that at Indiana. We saw it at Nebraska. We've seen it at SMU. Like a bunch of these coaches, these coaches all across the country, they're using their leverage and saying, I'm not going anywhere. I'm getting paid $12 million a year to stay here. Drinkwitz hasn't. So that's why it continues to churn the way that it has. I mean, he could put an end to this. If he thinks it's stupid, cool. You can make it very clear you're staying at Mizzou. You have the power to do that. He hasn't. And so it will continue to build around his candidacy elsewhere unless he decides to put it into it.
That's the part that I always find so funny about these when you make the statement. And I know you make it because it's what everybody is concerned.
But
it's like, if I'm going to stay, just say I'm going to stay. but I'm not going to stay, so I'm going to keep all these rumors and reports going because everybody's skeptical, and I'm not going to say it.
I think he doesn't know. If you want me to be honest, I don't know that he knows if he's going or not. Because if he knew he was staying, you're right. Just sign the contract. I would be shocked if it's not in front of him right now.
It's probably truly in like one of his desk drawers.
Yeah. The moment that he wants to sign, Mizzou will do whatever is necessary to keep him at the University of Missouri. I'm very confident in that. He hasn't chosen to do that. He also has not decided to, take another job elsewhere. There's no reports anywhere that says like he's specifically in contract negotiations with somebody else. He could do that.
Can he though right now?
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought he couldn't until the season was technically over.
There's no rules in college football.
The whole thing
there's no rules in college football whatsoever. It's why there's an ultimatum right now, allegedly, maybe depending on who you believe, with Ole Miss.
No,
they're telling him they're in the middle of a playoff race, and they're saying, hey, either coach our team or get lost. So, yeah, I don't think Mizzou's done that with Eli Drinkwitz, but otherwise, yeah, man, there ain't no rules. He could go wherever he wanted to, whenever he wants to.
He could coach LSU's game this weekend?
Sure. Why not?
That'd be
It's
cool.
college football, man. All right, it's Thanksgiving. It's the final week of the Countdown to Thanksgiving campaign benefiting the Operation Food Search. It's hosted by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, Hot Shots, Coca-Cola, and 101 ESPN. Drop off a non-perishable food item at any Lee's or Hot Shots location now through this Friday, November the 21st. Every donation earns a free Coca-Cola beverage, and all food collected will go to Operation Food Search. Each donor also entered to win a prize package that includes gift cards to Lee's and Hot Shots, as well as Blues tickets. All of the details can be found right now at 101ESPN.com. Coming up next, we'll hit the rewind and give you a chance to score a pair of tickets to see Motley Crue. That's all next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here in Missouri. Big news. It's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st, which is less than 2 weeks away. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. No wonder it's America's top-rated sportsbook app. The countdown is on. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use my code TANNER. That's code TANNER as new Missouri customers sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code TANNER. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Hey, if you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
Hey, I screwed up. Nobody else did. This was on me. 101 ESPN does have a chance this week to score a pair of tickets to see Motley Crue. The Fast Lane will have that chance coming up in just a little bit. We will have a chance this week, just not today, here on BK and Ferrario. So I do apologize for that, but we will have Motley Crue tickets the rest of this week for you here on the show. Blues back in action this evening. Alex will have pregame coverage for Blues versus the Toronto Maple Leafs starting at 5 o'clock. That's right here on your home of the Blues 101 ESPN. Alex, what are you looking for tonight in this game against Toronto?
Honestly, I don't even know anymore. Consistency more than anything. But even this game doesn't really do much for the overall big picture because you want to see him move from one to the other. I will say I'm curious to see if he changes some type of scheme. Joey mentioned on postgame with me the other night, do they consider going to man versus zone that they've been doing with? We're seeing them juggle up the lines once again, but overall it doesn't really matter because I think they've got to string 3 to 5 of these together before we can look at it and say that something's fixed.
Agreed. For me, I'm looking to see you mentioned it earlier. Booch has been bumped down to the third line. That's essentially his version of the scratch because they're not going to scratch him because of fear of losing his confidence and he's playing on the contract. How does he respond? Because they have got to get Pavel Buchnevich going. Him, Thomas, and Cairo, we talk about their struggles. The 3 big dogs have got to be your big dogs, and right now they're little puppies that aren't scoring. They need to see how he responds. I am fascinated to see what he looks like tonight on that third line.
Yeah, Booch is a big one for me. I'm interested, that third pair defensively. They're going back to Tucker with Kessel. What does that look like for them as well? And then just, goaltending.
You better watch the first 2 periods. They may not see the third period.
I know.
I get about 1 shift.
Oh, okay. You better be ready early in the third
They played
period.
more on Saturday. Now they were down.
And it was back-to-back.
Game was over on the third.
It took. Yeah, I just listen, man. It's pretty simple. They just got to play better. They need their best dudes to be their best dudes, and they haven't played like that for the vast majority of the season. And until that changes, this is the results that they're going to get. And right now, they're one of the worst teams in the NHL. So it's a pass-fail test. You're playing against a bad team. I know with Toronto, they've got all the superstars in the world over there. They've been bad this year too. They're toward the bottom of the Eastern Conference, and their GM had to come out and make a statement in favor of their coach today.
One of these teams' fan bases are going to be even more frustrated with their team after the loss tonight than they were prior to puck drop.
Frankie Montas DFA'd by the New York Mets. Yeah. So that's some news in Major League Baseball today as well.
You make $17 million. When you're in New York, you're not safe.
Ooh, buddy. Would you try it?
No.
If you're the Cardinals and he would take a minor league deal.
No. Okay. That guy can't stay healthy.
That works for the Cardinals rotation.
If I'm doing a 1-year bounce back deal, I would go with someone that's got upside and has proven for the most part they can stay healthy. Okay. So that probably rules out Dustin May too. But yeah, I don't care
about the health part.
Yeah, he's got upside.
He's at least young. I have no interest in Montas. Yeah.
That's fair. But yeah. Mets are going to be a fascinating team this offseason. I don't know what they're going to do. Them, the Phillies, and who else was it that I was thinking? Washington is super interesting to me. The Padres, the National League, outside of basically the Dodgers, everybody feels like they're in flux right now. Mm-hmm. And it's all because of the Dodgers. They're so damn good.
We're talking like Bo Bichette, Tucker.
Sounds like
I saw today
salary cap.
Bone said they should trade for, Skubal. Why not?
Well, that's going to happen. It's just it's either Skubal or Skeens.
Trade for him or sign him next year.
It's either Skubal or Skeens. You just got to wait.
And then he said, well, if you can't get Skubal this year, you could go next year. And then why not just go for Freddie Peralta? I was like, oh, yeah, really good number 5, Freddie Peralta.
If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, the free 101 ESPN app. You can always check it out on YouTube as well, youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. It's 1:57. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We will talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.